First, the announcements. The drawing for the free snow plowing for next year will occur after this meeting, okay? Well, at any rate, good evening. My name's Dan Woelfel, and I'm happy to host the annual meeting of the town of Sevastopol. And it is Tuesday, April 17th. And I would like to call this meeting to order and ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good, that's why I didn't sit down.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'd like to take a moment and introduce ourselves and also ask you to introduce yourself so we know who is all here this evening. We'll start with our Clerk-Treasurer.
Amy Flok, Clerk-Treasurer, County Road P.
Tony Hain, Town Supervisor, Matthew Road.
Jim Nellen, Glory Lane.
Chuck Tice, Supervisor from Bayshore Drive.
Dan Woelfel, Town Chairman, Park Road.
Linda Wade, Supervisor, Bluff Court.
John Stavnis, Supervisor, Whitefish Bay Road.
Aaron Brower, Gordon Road.
Steve Rowell, Moore Road.
Mary Ellen Ransback, East Bay Shore Circle.
Brandon Robinson, Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission.
Terry Reicher, Bayshore Drive.
Do I get me next? Right, Susan Drive.
Still in the Depot, June Road, Bayshore Drive. Joe Nellen, Moore Lane. Who's the officer?
Mike Bruno, Hayward.
Owen Fox, School.
Colonel Coon.
Lynn Schultz, 2766, Highway 57. Arthur Longo, Everly Road. Gary Longo, Everly Road. Feeling on video, certificate there.
Gary Schomburg, Wooden Drive.
Jeremy, Highway 57. Barb Season, South Bay Point.
Or seeing the South Bay Creek Drive. I'm here at South Bay Point.
Thank you and welcome. Typically, we are not required to have an agenda, but we put one together, which I assume that you have had an opportunity to look at just as a way to progress through the meeting this evening. And the next item on the agenda would be the meeting minutes from the annual meeting of April 18th, 2017. You've had a chance to look at those. The motion would be in order to approve those minutes. And they can be made from the floor.
I move we approve the minutes from last year.
Motion by Laddie.
Second.
Second. I'm sorry. Second by Terry. All right. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, please acknowledge by indicating aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right. Thank you for that. First thing on our agenda this evening is really to thank Chuck Tice. We owe Chuck a huge thank you. He's the gentleman sitting to my right, if you forgot from the announcement earlier. Chuck has taken on a lot of responsibilities for the town over the past 12 years, and we really owe him a great amount of gratitude for his service. One of the things that he took on over his years was the updating of our nuisance ordinances, as well as chairing our nuisance committee, not something that everybody on the town board was fighting to get. He also tackled the invasive species program with the goal of eradicating Phragmites in our town. And you know how obnoxious that weed can be, and he's done a great job with that, and the people that he's worked with have helped us to eliminate that problem. He's been involved with the Door County Visitors Bureau and ensured that the program worked as designed, which is basically the room tax, which, by the way, is what's been paying for this building since we moved in almost 10 years ago. He was also involved in the Door County Byways program, and if you've ever been by Grandma Tommy's, the kiosk there is probably the best-looking kiosk in the county of all of the ones that have been put up by the different towns, and he's maintained it as well, so it's always represented our town very well. Through his persistence, dedication, and concern for the town's well-being, he's always had a very positive impact on our town, and it will be that way for a long time to come, even after he's gone. So please join me in thanking Chuck for his 12 years of service. And Chuck, I give you the floor if you'd like to say something for a couple minutes.
Well, as Dan just went through, you can see that I was given all of the controversial assignments. And I said I did my best at them. I'm appreciative that everybody had confidence in the way I handled things, and I want to assure everybody that nobody was picked on individually or treated any different than anybody else. If the laws, the rules state something, that's what I expected from everybody. So with that said, I appreciate that everybody had the confidence in me to handle this position for the past 12 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Before I introduce our newest town board supervisor, I'd also like to take a moment to thank John Stavinus, Kim Daniil, and Jim Nellen, who ran for the job of town supervisor. It is not easy to get people to commit their time and talents to run for town office or to participate in town committees. God knows I will take any of you that would like to be part of a committee. It's an advertisement. But they have all gone above and beyond to try and make a difference for our community. And on behalf of the town board, I want to thank all of them for running. And now I'd like to introduce our newest member, Jim Nellen. Jim joins our town board today, replacing Chuck. I probably don't have to introduce Jim to most of you because I believe he's knocked on about every door in the town in his effort to run for town. So welcome to the board, and we would like to have Amy administer the oath of office.
All right. And John, you need to stand up as well.
No, I'm sorry, John too, thank you.
Please raise your right hand, please. And repeat after me. I, and then state your name.
I, John,
Having been elected to the town board
Having been elected to the town board
of the town of Sevastopol,
of the town of Sevastopol,
swear that I will support the Constitution
swear that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin,
and I will faithfully and impartially
and I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Chuck is going to stay with us this portion of our meeting as he has a lot of the feedback to give you in terms of the year in review. So he'll be with us as we go through the annual portion of the meeting. We have a number of different people on our agenda this evening. The first person is Brandon Robinson. Brandon is with Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission. You'll hear a lot about this over the course of the next few months. The town is undertaking a review and update to our comprehensive plan, which was done approximately 10 years ago, and some of you, no doubt, were in that process that took place where we tried to involve as many citizens as possible to create and develop the initial comprehensive plan. So our planning commission decided that they could really use some external help to do this, so we can bypass a few errors that we actually had on the first go-around, if you can imagine that. And so we have tonight Brandon Robinson, and he's going to give you an overview of some of the things that his group can provide for the town and will do for us. Brandon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Could you use the podium, please, sir?
You want me to use the podium?
Yes.
All right.
See if the mic's on.
Can everyone hear me?
May not be on.
As mentioned, my name is Brandon Robinson. I am with the Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission. For those of you who are not aware, the Regional Planning Commission's been around since 1972. We do serve the counties, we do serve 8 counties. I've got a little brochure here. If you don't have one, there's one at the front table. I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but it'll give you a little bit of who we are and what we do. We were established in 1972 by Governor Lucy, in addition to 8 other regional planning commissions throughout the state of Wisconsin. We were established to assist the local units of government throughout the state that didn't have staff or the resources to conduct planning activities or activities relating to zoning and things of that nature on their own. Basically, we've been around in the region for quite some time, and we have 8 counties that we cover, from Florence County, Marinette County, Oconto, Brown, Dorr, Kewaunee, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan. Right now, 6 of those counties are member counties. 2 of the counties, Dorr County, which is one, Brown County, the other, are not member counties. Each county pays a levy to become members of the commission. If the county pays their membership fees, every municipality in that county becomes a member and they receive our services. What do we do? Basically, we conduct planning services from a community planning standpoint. We do economic development, we do housing, we do transportation. We also do community facilities. One of the big things that we also do with our technical assistance programs through economic development and transportation is we assist communities writing grants. And as we all know, communities would like more funding that they can get their hands on to conduct any planning activities or road work or things of that nature. That's one of our biggest components. We do community planning, but we also assist our communities in getting funding to do certain types of plans. So with that in mind, the town had requested my services, was that 6 months ago, I want to say? Came in and spoke with the town. The town is not a member because Dorr County is not a member of the Regional Planning Commission. Came in, kind of broke down what the Regional Planning Commission really does for our communities, and one of the big things was the town wanted to adopt its comprehensive plan. So we kind of went through the process that we would utilize and how we've come up with our comprehensive planning process, how it's evolved since 2010 when they were required to be developed. The legislation was adopted in 1999. Plans had to be established by communities by 2010. There is a 10-year mandatory update for the comprehensive plan. So we've kind of taken the steps of developing a comprehensive plan that is a user-friendly tool that not just the Plan Commission of the town utilizes or the town board, but that the citizens can utilize as a tool for themselves as well. You want to be able to see for yourselves how does the town intend to grow, or for that matter, preserve. What do you want to preserve over the next 10 years? Granted, it's a 20-year planning document, but there's a 10-year cycle for updates. So I kind of proposed to the town, I don't have your old plan here, or what it looks like. Do you have a copy of that? We've gone through a different process in developing our comprehensive plans. The town's plan,
Okay, sorry.
so you're looking at a pretty thick document. I don't know how many of you in the audience or how many on the front here have gone through this in great detail, but it covers everything that you can think of, from natural resources, housing, economic development, transportation. But the big component here is future land use. What does the town intend to do over the next 20 years in terms of development, preservation, so on and so forth? So you've got a pretty big document there. We've gone the road of developing more or less a more simplified tool that maybe the communities could use as almost, and you've got a number of photographs and paintings on the wall, but even having the tool on a wall where people could walk in and identify, okay, what are our essential assets? What are our transportation facilities? What are our natural resources? And more importantly, what are the goals and objectives that are associated with those particular elements? Breaking those down. That ultimately turns into, what does the town look like in the next 20 years? I would show you guys too. But this essentially is the future land use plan. This is the town of Manitowoc Rapids in Manitowoc County. we took their large document and incorporated it into a two-side poster plan, a tool that could be hung up in the town hall that anybody can take a look at, view at their own discretion. And basically, it covers the statutory requirements that large document, that this large document does. It's actually gotten rave reviews from a lot of the communities on a lot of the, we've actually gotten awards on our poster plans over the last year through Wisconsin Land Information. So this has become a more valuable tool because it allows the community to take a look at the plan as a whole right up front rather than cycling through the book. There's nothing wrong with the book, it still serves its purpose, but we also want to utilize this kind of as a marketing tool for the town to illustrate what are essential resources in the community and what can the community do for the future in order to allow the town to continue to thrive moving forward. That's just one of the poster plans. This is the second one. This was actually our guinea pig. This is a town of Riverview. It is a town in the National Forest in Oconto County. So again, this is the future land use plan. As you can see, the majority of it is actually in the Nicolay National Forest. And then the back side is kind of a different format, but the essential elements that are required. And then we started to go to kind of more of a brochure type plan. Again, the size differential, quite thick, quite thin. More user-friendly, more visually appealing, and everything becomes a little more simplistic. We get into the goals and objectives, where the town wants to be, and then kind of the centerfold, if you will, becomes the future land use map of the community. So that was kind of the pitch that we gave to the town about 6 months ago. On top of that, we decided to, with the town becoming members, we decided to utilize our grant skills, our grant writing skills, and apply for a coastal management grant. Coastal management, if any of those of you are not familiar with Wisconsin coastal management, basically we assist communities that are along the lake shore and the bay shore. Knowing our region makeup, we are virtually, all of our communities are on the lake shore. All of our counties are on the lake shore. So with that, we decided to apply for a coastal management grant for the town to update this comprehensive plan. We went down in January, gave a pitch to the council, the Wisconsin Coastal Management Council. At this point, it's recommended for funding. There's no guarantee or there's no formal announcement that it's been funded yet, but we do know that the town has been recommended for funding to update their comprehensive plan, which is a bonus. So with that, there was a cost to update that. We've sliced that in half with the grant, hopefully with the grant award. So again, with the town becoming members as well outside of the comprehensive plan, we've talked about looking at different ways to get the town zoning, incorporating certain things that we can include for certain land use management. But again, the big thing is, with our technical assistance that we provide, we are continuously looking for funding resources to assist communities in incorporating planning services and, including things such as PACER. We do the pavement management surveys at no cost through our rural transportation work program that's funded through the DOT. We have a lot of partners that we work with, from the DNR to the DOT, that we have funding resources that we can hopefully help the town out as much as possible.
Thank you. Any questions from the floor? Feel free, it's your meeting.
How well did we meet the goals from the last one?
How well did we meet the goals?
Yeah. Do you feel like it was a useful exercise to do that plan? I remember 10 years ago, and I thought it was a good time for the public to get some input.
Up to this point, I think we've met the goals that we had set for ourselves, yes. There are some that are on the 20-year rotation and, the 15-year rotation. So, well, like I said, it's an evolving thing. It does need to change over time, and it's recommended now. I think we might be a year behind on our update, but other than that, we're right on track as far as I know.
you think, Linda?
Well, we instituted the plan in November of 2008, and I think we got a slight extension because it is in progress.
Correct.
So,
You might want to pull the mics in a little bit.
Oh.
I think one other point to your question is, when we undertook this the first time through Smart Growth, it was a huge project, and it involved a lot of townspeople's input, and I think we made a few mistakes, areas that we would like to clean up. And so this go-round, with their help, we're going to try and cover those areas to make sure that we don't let something slip through the cracks, especially with some of the pending changes on conditional use that you may hear more about later today, but impacts town zoning and planning. So that's one of the reasons we've solicited these people to help us in that effort. So.
and I think, as Brandon mentioned too, grant writing is not the most fun. So I think having their expertise to help us fund some project, take a look at our capital improvement program and projects, and just assist us with long-term planning.
One other thing, there is a sheet up front. It does have the timeline for the comprehensive plan update on the back side of it. If and when this is awarded by coastal management, we have a year to complete the process. It would start in July of this year, and it would go through June of next year. In that process, we will be having a number of public meetings. We're going to try a couple different things with your project as well. We're going to try to do some crowdsourcing, which is going to be more interactive surveying with the community. And one of the big things that we're going to try to do as well with this document, other than the brochure or the poster plan that you would have, we are also looking to do an interactive comprehensive plan, which would be it more or less would be an online tool where it would allow the comprehensive plan basically to kind of come alive through the website. It would be a more interactive comprehensive plan rather than the stagnant hard copy that you would get. It would be a more interactive tool. There would be more assets behind it. So that's one of the things, again, we're starting to go in, I guess, into the digital age, a more interactive age of the way that these documents are coming together. So that's another thing we're going to try to do with this document as well for the town.
Good, thank you for your help. I look forward to helping us.
Yes.
This plan is not cast in stone. It's a tool to try to get to an end mean here. What type of procedure, or how would you go about if you're in the plan and what the plan is saying does not fit the situation today? We need to change it or that.
That's really a discussion point with the plan commission or the town board. If it doesn't fit with the town land use plan, then you have to ask yourselves, is this item or this situation something that we could see as a benefit to the town? And before you can approve that particular suggestion, you would have to modify and update the comprehensive plan to incorporate that. On the flip side, if it's not in the plan, and you feel it's, it just doesn't fit with the nature of the town and where we want to move in terms of the future, then the plan allows you to give some feedback in terms of, well, it gives you rationale to really turn down that development type or that recommendation. So the plan does have teeth. I know the town's under county zoning. The comprehensive plan that you have in place gives the town justification to say, this doesn't coincide with what our future development is. We just can't see that development taking place. Or, like I said, if you see it as an advantageous tool for the town moving forward, then that's where the town would have to come in and make a change to the comprehensive plan, and amend the comprehensive plan.
Does that happen before you okay that situation?
The amendment has to occur before you okay the situation.
So the comprehensive plan that we have in place right now, the big one, we've already made changes, some major things, and we have those changes on the comprehensive plan. So do we get our fingers slapped, or is it just like, oops, we didn't know, or what happened?
Those types of things are basically would be recorded. You'd record those and make those changes on the update. A lot of times you don't see updates happen on a regular basis. They will be recorded and then incorporated as you do a more comprehensive amendment, which is what this would be.
So by hiring your group, you would maybe kind of keep track of that a little bit better than maybe that you have done in the past?
Yeah, the idea is to make, the record keeping needs to be diligent in terms of those changes that take place. Like I said, when you get a big document like this, you don't want to have to go through and make major changes to it and reprint it constantly. It's keeping track of those changes that take place. And then moving forward, when you do a comprehensive amendment or a comprehensive revision, you make note of those things that had taken place prior to that.
Hearing nothing else?
Can I just say anything?
Go ahead.
As Brandon pointed out, on the back of this informational sheet is a timeline, and the town will be doing a newsletter, perhaps mid-June or so, so please watch for dates so that everyone is aware of because there will be at least 2 public hearings, or there's a kickoff, a results, and a public, okay, 2 or 3?
There may be a 2 or 3, I think, that we haven't discussed.
Okay, thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Unless you want to lug it around.
Next item on our agenda is to review the financial statements for the town of Sevastopol. And I should tell you that every town in Door County is having their annual meeting tonight, which presents a little bit of a problem for the auditor, Schenk. And it gets more complicated because the gal that does our audit also happens to be pregnant and is not with us this evening. So we have asked our clerk-treasurer to take off her clerk hat and put on her treasurer hat and take us through the presentation on the annual financial statements. And just so that you're all in a good mood, you should all know that the town is in excellent financial standing. All right, and with that, Amy, it is now in your court.
Wonderful. So the complete audit is 36 pages. I've condensed the report into, you good? Okay. Into the basic financial information in front of you. The majority of you have the packets. If you would like a complete report, I have it available in the office as well. So if we turn to page 3 and take a look at the total net position of 2016 versus 2017, numbers indicate that we are in a very good net position. That is also reflected in the statement of activities on pages 4 and 5. Turning to page 6, if you take a look at the fund balance portion of the page, the unassigned fund balance is 33% of 2017's general fund expenditures. This is an excellent equity position for our cash flow and also puts us in good standing should we expect any unexpected expenditures occur. In addition to that, the committed amounts represent a logical approach to save for unexpected future expenditures. If we turn to page 10, the net change in fund balance has a positive result for the past 2 years. This year, public works expenditures were less than budget. Turning to page 19, the general obligation debt is very low and will soon be fully retired. The legal margin for new debt is in excess of $35 million, which is likely to be much more than we'll ever need to borrow. Page 20 through 21 is the Wisconsin Retirement System pension plan information. This is new to 2017, to us in 2017. Lastly, if we turn to page 27, paragraph 4 discloses the deficiencies common to all small governments. Our auditor has considered those deficiencies during their audit, and they do not believe that the internal records would be misleading to the board during the course of the year.
If anyone has any questions on anything in specific, please feel free to ask Amy or one of the board members. We'll be happy to address them. It's a lot of data in here. The gist of it is that the town's in a good shape financially. We have a lot of things happening in the future, but good shape financially. So, any questions from anyone? Mary Ellen?
Is this online?
I
By
do
chance?
No.
not believe it is.
I'm just,
We could upload it to our,
Could put it on if you
yep.
are so inclined for some midnight reading. Okay. Any questions from anyone at all on the floor? Okay. And we will move on. Thank you, Amy. All right. Next item is the annual fire report 2017. This is Sturgeon Bay Fire Department. Who provides our fire protection? We have Fire Chief Tim Detman and Assistant Chief Caitlin Montevideo. Chief?
Thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm Tim Detman, Sturgeon Bay Fire Chief. We also provide fire protection for the town of Sevastopol, town of Sturgeon Bay, and we do fire inspections for the town of Jacksonport. There were copies that were on the front table if anybody needs them. We do have a few extras in the back. Just going through our report, it kind of basically tells you a little bit about who we are, how we operate, and about third, fourth page in, I'll talk about our calls to the different townships. This last year, town of Sevastopol had 72 calls that we, the department, responded to. It's down a little bit from the prior year, 88 calls. Back to 2015, we were at 69 calls, so it does fluctuate quite a bit. We only provide fire rescue. The town has its own EMR group. At times, we are called if they are running a little short-staffed or just need some additional help on a particular call. Go through our graphs, you can see some of our response times. The town of Sevastopol, our average response time for the town of Sevastopol was 12 minutes, 19 seconds. Non-emergent was 19 minutes, 37 seconds. Obviously, yearly, this is going to change depending on where our calls are. Are they all closer to our station, or are they all, on your far end of your border? So there's times, and you'll see a few in here, where our non-emergent time is actually shorter than our emergent time. Again, it's all depending on where the calls are. So the next sheet is a little bit of a breakdown, our incident type by jurisdiction. So you'll see in the town of Sevastopol, as we had them recorded, there was a total of 72 calls that broke it down into our different types of fires, and these are our incident types that we're required to report on. So these categories are dictated to us. And sometimes they get a little misleading as you try to read through it or try to figure out what it actually is. Some of the bigger ones that you see in there, we've had, minimal. We had 10 medical assists, whether it's emergent or non-emergent. Again, going back to, the town's EMR group was busy with other calls. We needed a little extra help. We work very close with them, and we appreciate everything that they do for us, and hopefully vice versa. A big one here is vehicle accidents. We had 16 recorded accidents that we responded to as a fire department. Those aren't medical, but those are just as an accident. 8 alarm activations, no fire. We get questioned about that every year. Which businesses are we going to? Is it a common theme that we respond to one business in your jurisdiction all the time that's having alarm problems? And this was spread out this year amongst multiple different ones. So it could be as much as some battery failures, power outages, things like that. We've had people pulling fire alarms thinking they're light switches and odds and ends, things like that. So most of those people don't speak English. So but a little bit of our calls. The 5-year incident comparison, that's just our total calls for our department. Our report this year is covering all of our jurisdictions. We used to break them down, one for each one of our protection areas. There was a lot of duplicate information. It got a little confusing at times, so we incorporated one report for all of our jurisdictions. So you can see that from 2013 up through 2017, we've been growing a little bit. The last 16, 17, it was pretty much a neutral year. We went down just a couple calls. So as far as our staff, we operate as a combination department, which means we have 12 full-time plus myself and the assistant chief, and we operate 15 paid on call. which supplement us when we're coming into the town with our on-duty crew. We'll page a shift to backfill into the city, or if we're called to a mutual aid call elsewhere, we'll page a shift back in to assist. So the staff hour summary is kind of a breakdown of what we do day to day throughout the year. This is not everything. It's just kind of the larger larger amounts of. There's a lot of small ones that are in there too. The last page, the fire inspection summary, you can see that the town of Sevastopol, we provided 131 inspections, which took us approximately 145 hours. The town of town of Sevastopol, I read the wrong one here before. Town of Sevastopol, the 2% dues is what the town receives, which was $21,989.07. The town receives that by we as a fire department certifying that we're doing the inspections in the businesses. We're getting out doing public education and providing all the services that we are contracted by you to do. We as a department have to certify this, and so does the town clerk has to certify that they are receiving what they're paying for. So the revenue is back to the town, which you utilize to offset your annual payment to us for protection. We have a 7-year contract, which we're in the 6th year right now. The 6th and 7th year, the contract allows for an increase, and I apologize I didn't bring that, but it was very minimal.
Correct.
I don't even know if it was $2,000.
No.
It was less than $2,000. So in 2017, the contracted price for our services were $347,035. A few of the other little things that we talked about last year when we were here, ISO rating is the Insurance Service Organization, and what they do is all of us as homeowners and business owners, your insurance rates are based upon the department that provides protection and services to you. Last year, our department was, and the rating goes from 1 being the best to 10 being virtually there's no department and you have nobody coming to help you. We went from a 3 to a 2, and we talked about that a little bit last year, right around this time, and that took effect, June 1st of last year. Now, where that'll take effect when we get further outside of the city, past the last fire hydrant, 5 miles past our station, things start dropping off, and it doesn't reflect as good of a protection rating. So. But by us obtaining a 2, for those that you fall in, should have noticed some type of a insurance savings. As a homeowner, not nearly as much as a business owner. I can tell you that in the city of Sturgeon Bay, we have a couple of smaller businesses in the industrial park that save between $7,000 and $10,000 a year just on the fire portion of their insurance rating. So that's they rate us on our response and our callback and our operations, our training, our equipment. Just a large plethora of things that we get rated on. So that was a huge step. That put us as a department in just over the top 2% countrywide, and just under, I think it was 2.7% statewide for departments that are able to achieve a rating of 2. So that was a huge thing for us. One thing that ISO has done, which is going to benefit the town that we're working on this spring, is ISO used to allow us to take credit for one type of a water evolution. For me, in the city, we had such a large rating because we have a very substantial hydrant system. You don't have hydrants in the town here. They have recognized that they have a lot of municipalities that are working in hydrant and non-hydranted areas that now allow us to do a water shuttle evolution and allowing us to take 2 types of water credit. What that's going to do is if you're in an area outside the 5 miles and you're at a 7 or 8, by us performing our water shuttle evolution, and that'll be with the town of Jacksonport and the town of Egg Harbor, we can utilize them and we can pretty much encompass the entire township. So that should assist bringing it down. I'm hoping to get it down to about a 6. I don't know if we can get much lower than that just because of outside response, but that is going to be an additional savings. If we can get that done soon enough this spring, I'm hoping June 1st you guys will be able to see that savings. So, and again, if anybody notices that there's a savings due to that ISO rating, we'd love to hear that, and you don't have to tell me exactly how much, but if it's a savings or if it goes the other way. We had a couple people that said we got a letter from our insurance company stating we're going up, and they had the wrong information. So a letter from us saved them a substantial amount of money. So if there's something we can help you with that, please let us know. One of the things that we talked about last year that we've been working on slowly is a strategic plan. It's looking for input from the town. You know, do you feel you're getting, as a township, are you getting what you're paying for? Is there something that we're not doing right or not doing enough of, or, you know, maybe you've had a good experience that can help us. So you'll be seeing more of that coming out, some questions, some surveys and things like that. We really ask everybody to please participate. It's going to be all anonymous. We're just looking for all the feedback, good, bad, and otherwise that we can get, because that's going to only help us make your protection a little bit better. So a couple of things that we've been working on. Sevastopol schools, we work very closely with the school on a facilities securities, active shooter, multiple types of things, incidents at the school. So we've been very active with the school in the last year with that also. So other than that, there's not a whole lot more. If anybody has any questions or.
Was there any significance in the changes? I noticed the career firefighters staffing went from first shift, second shift, third shift to red shift, Mike shift, and green shift.
No. So how our firefighters operate, our full-time the shifts are red, green, and blue because they work 24-hour shifts. All the days on the calendars for us are different colors. So that's how we, we notice who's working.
You missed it. I was trying to get a laugh out of the
people.
people.
Well.
The Mike shift. The blue shift is second shift, and every one of the firefighters' names is Mike.
Yeah, that was our last year. It worked out real good for me because whenever we said Mike, we had complete attention. So not this year, though.
Tim, last year you mentioned something about you were having problems recruiting. Is that still the case?
We are one short on our part-time right now. So we operate with 15 paid on call, 3 shifts of 5. We were 3 short. We had a gentleman retire. We did do some recruiting, and probably about 3 months we picked up three very qualified people. So we're one short right now, and we have our process will probably be starting up here again about a month for testing, and we do have some applicants for that last position.
Tom, could you just explain what determines the cost of the contract? I mean, obviously, looking at this, Sevastopol pays a lot more than other townships. A lot of it's based upon a mill rate based upon the equalized assessed value of the town. So the town of Sevastopol has a very high equalized assessed value. So one thing that a lot of people ask is, well, we may not have as many homes here, but the potential for protection, the $1 million homes, large dollar homes are huge protection issues for us. So protections based upon the contracts that have gone back or based upon the equalized assessed value of the towns, which is the same as the town of Sturgeon Bay.
Let's see, a couple months back, there was an incident on Bay Shore Drive. A house was on fire. As far as chain of command, when fire chief's gone and the assistant chief are gone at the same time, I'm assuming there's somebody at the firehouse that takes command of that?
Most definitely. We have lieutenants that are on duty lieutenants, and our lieutenants are the officers of the day. So are you talking about the Borkovitz fire?
Yeah, because I'm still trying to figure out how, and from all my years of schooling with fire, you get there, you protect the scene. I'm trying to figure out how civilians got back in a burning house to empty out the firearms.
We had full control of that, what was going on, John.
What's that?
We had full control of what was going on at that scene.
Well, you two were in Milwaukee. We're trying to figure out why you guys didn't show up 2 hours.
No, that's inaccurate. My assistant fire chief was on scene. I was in Milwaukee with the city police chief.
No.
So the assistant chief was on scene, had full control, and I did show up
Then
on
my
scene.
next question is on your inspections. It seems that somebody on your fire department gives pretty much every business in the township a heads up the week prior to. But when you come to do an inspection by my place, you bring the cops and enforceable warrants.
Well, I can tell you that's completely inaccurate.
What deems the week's heads up to everybody else?
I can tell you that's completely inaccurate. We don't make, there are certain places that have asked because they have maintenance people, whether it's hotel, motel, or whatever, that their maintenance person is there on a certain day or time, we will call and make sure somebody's there that can get us into the areas. Majority of the time, we don't call ahead and make any appointments.
And then the next question is on your ISO rating. So basically, all it boils down, so everybody in the town understands is, and it's hard to find firefighters, it's hard to find EMTs. Basically, my insurance will drop by 50% if we had our own fire department.
That's something that you guys would have to take up with the town, and you can't guarantee that, John, because...
That's right, you can't, but
yeah.
the people in the town need to understand one thing, it's money in their pocket, not everybody else's.
Yep. Something the town is more than willing and able to look into. So
We
that's what you're doing.
we had a committee study that prior to negotiating the contract with the city of Sturgeon Bay. And we made the decision, with the help of outside consultants, that the cost for us to operate a fire department far exceeded the cost that we would pay to the city of Sturgeon Bay. Keep in mind that we pay the city of Sturgeon Bay 1/3 of our total budget, so it is by no means a small amount. The other factor that comes into play almost more than any one single thing in evaluating having our own fire department is location. If you know our town, it is very well, it is spread out. It is very diverse. It is not easy to get from one end of the town to the other, and it was almost a requirement that we have 2 fire stations in order to provide the level of support if we were going to take that step. We also investigated joint department help from town of Egg Harbor, village of Egg Harbor, and from the town of Jacksonport. The town of Jacksonport declined to assist us right off the get-go. I don't recall what happened with Egg Harbor, but we did all of the due diligence and spent extensive amount of time to make sure that we weren't wasting our money, especially given the size of that budget item. So that's a little bit of the backdrop. Now, that's not saying that it's not going to be looked at again, because at $350,000, we're buying the city of Sturgeon Bay a fire truck a year. Well, maybe you're buying other things, but I mean, that's the equivalent. So we are constantly aware of it, don't know where it's going to go. You have one more follow-on?
Yes, to touch base in the town of Egg Harbor. I've talked to numerous people up there, one being fire commission. He says he's more than willing to extend a hand out to the town of Sevastopol. Nobody from the board seemed to get a hold of him, which is kind of odd.
That's not accurate, John. I'm sorry. It's not accurate. At the time that we did this, we hired outside consultants that came in. We worked as a committee. John, myself, Tom Gurman, who's not on it, Biz Verley, Stats, Jason Stotts, and I can't remember one other person. We did all of the due diligence. So what might be the case today is not and was not the case at the time that we entered into this agreement, and this agreement has another year to run. So we will assess it at that time. So.
Just out of curiosity, what did they propose you say for one fire department?
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, so I can't help you.
I think the biggest thing is that to staff both stations, we would have needed 45 people. And people are hard to find now, and 45 people volunteering, I don't know. It'd be tough.
So 45 people are hard to find, which we understand, and this company that came in to do this was how many years ago roughly?
7?
6, 7 years ago.
Just a thought in the back of my head, just to give back to the town, maybe we should explore this again, and maybe bring it to a referendum, and just get an idea how many people are interested in having a fire department.
We'll approach.
This is 7 years old already.
We'll approach that when the contract is up for renewal. So, thank you.
Glad you brought that up. I got one more question about that. Seeing that Pinker Law Firm and Mr. Nisbet is our attorney, which is the town's, and also as the fire department's attorney, how do we get an even shape in that contract?
I can tell you that the law firm...
I asked the town chairman, Tim, how do we get an even shape, having the same attorney represent both?
I think it's worked out really well for us, John. He does all the legal work.
It's a huge conflict of interest.
And he does all the legal work and bills the city. So we come out of this smelling like a rose. I can't address that right now, and I don't intend to.
So just a quick question. He falls down, outside the parking lot here on town property. That attorney goes to the courtroom. He sues the town. Who's the attorney gonna side with? Explain that to me, please.
Can't address that. Let's move on to the next item if that's it. Thanks, Chief. Okay, next item on the agenda is Kyle Luedtke, who was going to talk to us about the proposals for the Sevastopol School remodel, rebuild, refashion, something.
Thank you for your time tonight. I'm Kyle Luedtke, the new superintendent at Sevastopol School District. I started in July, and I've really enjoyed my first year there so far. Our kids are great. Our programming is very good. Our staff is excellent. The reason I'm here tonight is to talk about the work of our CFAC. The CFAC stands for Citizens Facility Advisory Committee. We began our work in October after the September board meeting when our Board of Education decided that we needed to look at our facilities and decide our future on it. Back in September of 2015, a survey went to your households. At that time, it told the district to reevaluate what they're doing and look at it again in the future. So that's what we started in the fall. We have 35 members of the community that regularly show up on Monday nights from 6 to 8 in our multi-purpose room. All our meetings are open to the public, and we've been developing plans since that time. We first assessed our own facilities. Our building's unique. It has a 1924 section, a 1946 section, a section from 1965, 1991, 1996, and 1998. The section is from 1924, is pushing almost 100 years old, and it served the community well, but it has some needs. And our community needs to have this committee develop our plans so that you guys as a community can tell us the direction to go with the future. So we started by looking at our facilities, assessing them, prioritizing our needs, thinking of concepts, and driving towards our options. At this point, we have two options in front of us. Option number one, the big board here, is a brand new facility off of Rip Road. And the second option is some new addition out behind the current building, renovating portion and replacing portion of it. When we assessed those needs, we kind of broke it down. If you have your handout, you'll see the wheel here, the Pioneer wheel. We have 5 areas which we identified as our needs. We need improvements to our educational spaces, improve safety and security, replace outdated infrastructure, enhance our common places for K-12 students, and address our current building codes and ADA codes. The two largest areas of concern are, of course, safety and security and our improved educational spaces. In fact, at our last CFAC meeting, we were debating on which of those two were more important, and it went back and forth throughout that meeting. Safety and security will always be at the forefront, but our #1 mission as a school is to educate our students. So at this time, we have a couple options, and we want your input. So in June, you'll be receiving another survey in the mail. You can also do it online, and we want you to give us your input on those plans, which is best. But you can't do that unless you're well educated on the topics. So we have our handouts. We'd like to have you come to our school whenever possible, take a tour, see our facilities, see exactly what we're talking about. We're going to have 2 open forums, Tuesday, May 29th at 5 o'clock and Wednesday, May 30th at 7 p.m. And we also want you to go towards our website at www.sevastopol.k12.wi.us and click on the CFAC for more information. The big question, of course, is financial. That's always going to be the big question. If you go to the back page, you'll see a series of bar graphs here. That's the current mill rate for the 17-18 school year. You'll see we're third from the top at $5.54. The black bar is the state average, which is $9.79. And our neighbors to the south, the Sturgeon Bay, is $10.61. Back in 2008, you'll find this information next to it in this paragraph here. In 2008, a study was done on what would happen if we consolidated with Sturgeon Bay. The CFAC does not want to even pursue that option. That is off the table as far as we're concerned. our mill rate would increase and our local control would decrease if we did that. That also doesn't solve our building problem, because if we took our 600 students from Sevastopol and shared them with Sturgeon Bay, there wouldn't be enough room in their facilities for us, they still would need a building. So we have to address our own problem with the building. The financial impact is on the inside portion of the cover here, the inside page 2. It shows you the hypothetical tax impacts for $40 million, $50 million, and $60 million, which is in the price ranges of our 2 options here. It gives you 3 values of homes and what that yearly and monthly cost would be. We take the mill rates that are listed here with those options, and you went to the back page, and you added it on to the 554, we would still be below the state average for mill rate. So basically, in Sevastopol, we've been very fortunate, we're property rich, and we have a low mill rate. Unfortunately, when it comes to a project like this, we have to tackle it ourselves. There's not going to be any state money for a project like this. It's going to be outside sources. It's going to have to come from within. So that's the financial impact. The 2 things you should know about the chart in the bottom here. Baird Financial used 4 to 5% for the percentage interest rate. At this time, if we're going to do the borrowing, the interest rate would only be 3 1/4. So they conservatively used higher numbers because they can't forecast what's going to happen in a couple of years, and they want to be on the conservative side. The other item to notice on here is that they assume the property value within the school district of Sevastopol would not increase at all. So they based it on 0 growth for property value and a higher percentage of interest rate than possibly would have. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to be conservative with these numbers, saying this is probably as high as it's going to be if you go with these numbers. At this time, I'll open up to any questions you have. And I understand that for most of you, this is the first time seeing this, so fire away, ask. If I can't answer your question, I will get together with you anytime you can. Yes?
I have no strong opinion about this, other than my 2 children did just recently graduate from high school. They were very satisfied. But I know you mentioned one possible approach would be to consolidate with Sturgeon Bay. Sometimes those things don't need to be done in toto. For instance, my oldest son graduated from Sevastopol. His high school class size, I think, was 24. It's pretty small. How about a scenario where everyone likes a local community grade school, but a high school, there's some advantages to going to a large high school. Academic enrichment, et cetera, a greater range of choices and resources, et cetera. How about children 2 miles north of Sturgeon Bay go to Gibraltar, and children south of that line in high school go to Sturgeon Bay, and we try and make the best use of our resources for our grade school and keep it here in Sevastopol. I'm not saying that but I hope more than just saying, hey, let's just consolidate in whole with another school district. I hope people will consider other options that might mitigate. I know they say our property taxes are low according to the state average. We shouldn't forget the Wisconsin state is very high nationally, incredibly high property taxes compared to the rest of the nation. So I just, as a parent and as taxpayers, I want to strong schools, but I want respect and due diligence given to the taxpayers' money and what makes sense. Everything should be pointed towards what can we do for the children. I know that's pretty half-night. Not what we can do to keep the resource structure here going and that sort of thing. That should not even enter the equation. It should be how can we educate our children in a cost-effective way. But I'm sure you're doing everything with the best outlook with that.
Okay, what you're describing is whole grade sharing, which is a new concept in Wisconsin. It's been in Iowa for a few years, where you'd send certain grade levels to different schools. That's a new concept here in Wisconsin. You have to have an agreement between both districts for that, knowing that the district that's receiving the students is going to charge the residential district for the services they're getting, and you have to have that agreement in place for multi-years. I don't know if it's possible to whole grade share the same grade level with 2 districts at the same time. I don't know if that's legal or not, but I can look into it. As far as the mill rate, absolutely, we got a 5.54, If you look back in 2008 when the study was done, ours was much lower than what Sturgeon Bay's has increased over that time. Part of that is managing our facilities. The folks before me have done a great job with the finances, and that's put us in great shape. We have no debt falling off of our books in the near future, and typically school districts will have debt falling off, and that's when they incumbent some new debt. We won't have that in our situation because we don't have debt, which is great.
These are big numbers.
They're huge numbers, absolutely. Yep.
What was it, the word you used that you said Iowa has?
Whole grade sharing.
I'm sorry.
Whole grade
Whole
sharing.
grade.
So you take like 7th and 8th grade, you ship them to one
I
town.
just didn't know the term.
Yeah, it's called whole grade sharing.
But how does, this part I've never quite understood, town of Sevastopol residents partially belong to the Sturgeon Bay School District. Is that not?
That's because your school district boundaries don't coincide with townships or towns or villages. They're not the same. Back in the day, and typically as farmers got to choose which way, when they had from one-room schoolhouses, which way their property went. The lines are very jagged. Ours in Sevastopol are very straight. But if you look at most school districts across it, it'll be a 40 or an 80 will go this way, and it'll look like, why doesn't it go to the north? It goes to the south, because that's where they chose back in the day when they went from consolidating one-room schoolhouses into bigger districts. So township lines have nothing to do with school district lines.
But there's I mean, you've got that, yeah, you got the whole gizmo around Cherry School. Part of it's city of Sturgeon Bay, and part of it's in Sevastopol. You have the west side of the Bay Shore Drive, Lori Lane, etc. That is, kind of a straight line. But anyway, yeah, I just threw it out because it's just odd. And
yeah, we don't line. We're not the same governing body. Yes.
I'm looking on the first page here, and my question is under, it says music, art, and PA. Now, is that what's going to encompass what they were talking about, auditorium?
No, it's not an auditorium. That is the 1991 gym stage, where the programs are currently. The music rooms in these options here, you get a new music room and choir room, and the current choir music would be staging areas for props, costumes, makeup, that kind of, so to enhance the area, but it's not a new auditorium, by no means, no.
So they're not planning on, in this, there's no talk of auditorium?
We had talk of an auditorium at the first or maybe second meeting, and the CFA threw that right out the window, said that is not part of the plan, but these plans here will enhance those areas for those kids. So that's why it says enhance, it doesn't say new. It's not an auditorium.
In the budget and in the plan, is this also going to include like materials and educational materials that, to update and upgrade, such as their computers or iPads, or for in the room? I know my grandson has his own little iPad or whatever. That's where he does his homework, and that's how he submits it to his teacher now. And that is through the school. Is anything like that been thought of or included in this?
Yes, included in there is technology for the new building. All the infrastructure of the servers and hardware and all the materials we're purchasing for technology support right now are transferable into a new building or in a new addition if we do so. But there's also a technology budget within these estimates to support every classroom. Because right now, I'm not going to say every classroom, but I'm going to say 95% have a smart board. Unfortunately, some of our smart boards are first generation smart boards, are at the end of their life. And so you wouldn't transfer one of those into a new room or facility. So there is a technology budget that's within this to help support the education of the kids, absolutely. Yes?
I have a couple questions. I guess the biggest one is declining enrollment. And I've seen studies, more recently just one done by the county of Door, projecting declining enrollment. So we're going to invest X millions of dollars to satisfy a decreasing amount of students. How do you justify that? It just seems to me to be out of balance. And building off of the comment that gentleman made, the whole school.
Sure.
at 3:30, 3 o'clock, when the student body is released, there's more cars moving in and out of here than there are buses. So it would certainly appear that there's more than enough student drivers that could migrate to either school to satisfy any requirement without having transportation be a huge headache. But I'm more concerned about declining enrollment and the fact that we're going to sink this money in and we're not going to have the student body to support it. If you tie that to the number of superintendents into our county, we're at a total imbalance. So anyway, I throw that out.
The declining enrollment, we had UW-Madison do a study, their applied laboratory for population, did a study on our 10-year projections, and we are going to decline in enrollment. However, we're always going to be at a level where we need at least 2 sections per grade level. Currently, we have 2 sections per every grade level except for 3rd and 4th grade. Those have 3. We also have in our advantage open enrollment. We have 125 students that open enroll into Sevastopol School District and 100 open enroll out. So we're positive 25. And that creates for us also a waiting list of students wanting to come to Sevastopol. We have to turn them away because we're at capacity at certain grade levels that are within certain programs. So I understand what you're saying. We are going to decline is what the study is showing. We also have a waiting list, so that's going to absorb some of that. But we will always be a 2-section per grade level school district. And what's the other part of your question?
Well, the other one was just a comment following on about the possibility of moving high school students to Gibraltar, Sturgeon Bay, and since there's so many cars in that parking lot and so many students driving versus riding the bus, it would certainly seem pretty feasible from a mobility standpoint.
Right. The kids driving, and they will. You can't count on that though, because as a public school, we're required to provide busing, and even if we have 1 kid at the farthest reach, we gotta go get that student, even if the other stops along the way are choosing optional of either having their parent bring them or them drive themselves, we still have to cover our territory. So transportation costs may be less students per route with the student drivers, but we still have to cover our territory to pick up all those students.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Well, I thank you for your time. If you want a tour or any other information, please get a hold of me anytime you can.
Thank you. All right. With that, we'll move on to a little bit of the year in review from the various supervisors. I'll start off with just giving you the view from 20,000 feet and then ask them to individually speak to their particular area of business. And I've only got half a dozen things here. The first one that most I think are aware of is that we finally made an investment in a new well, and I'm drinking the water tonight, so I guess the good news is that we are finally free of contaminants, which is, we invested $20,000 to fix that problem, but it appears that our investment is paid off, and we have a new well, and we do not have to worry about bottled water and canceling events where people had rented the facility. Road work continues to be a challenge, given the cost of rebuilding roads. We will deal with that in the year to come with our budget. Those of you that like to get rid of debt, you can anticipate a town hall mortgage burning party in 2019 as we move to our final year of paying off this building, courtesy of the room tax to a large degree, and a lot of that was through Chuck's efforts. We also implemented a capital improvement plan this year, and we will reprioritize it each year so that we try and build a fallback position in terms of cash reserves to cover things like an unexpected well or a new roof or whatever might happen as we get close to 10 years with the building. From an activity in the town, I think the biggest single thing that we dealt with this last year was the winery that was proposed. It consumed a fair amount of time, both at town meetings and in planning and commission meetings and so on and so forth. It eventually was approved by the county, and if you've driven by the facility, you'll notice they have not turned a shovel yet, and I understand that they're waiting for the results of the traffic study, which was a condition before they could begin construction. We continue also with our efforts to remove nuisance problems in dwellings. There's been a few that we have had success with where the owners have cleaned up their property, and we thank them for that. The county, underneath FEMA's control and direction, has been redoing all the floodplain maps for our town, including Clark Lake. The good news is that we only have 11 properties that will be affected as we understand it today, so that's good news. There was a potential there to significantly impact a lot of people along the shorelines, but it looks to be only 11 people. We already touched on the fact that we hired Bay Lakes Regional Planning to help us with our comprehensive plan, and as you heard from Linda, and you'll hear again over the next few months, we'll need your help in refining that. It's your plan that we will implement. And lastly, I guess I'd like to just say that over the years, we lost a few townspeople, but I'd like to make mention of one that worked very closely with us who just recently passed, and the brother of Tony Hain, and that was Gary Hain. I guess I'd call him our town plumber. He was our go-to guy. He took care of our well. He was very busy with the old well. He passed away from cancer this recently, and we will miss him, and just wanted to honor him for a moment. So with that, I'll ask the committee people to just kind of give you their recap, if I can find my agenda. Okay. So let's start with the PEG cable channel, and in this case, we're going to ask Laddie Chapman to just give you a brief recap of the achievements from last year. Laddie?
Focus on where I think I'll be. Hi, I'm Laddie Chapman. I'm the program director for our cable TV station, channel 86 on Charter. And anyone who has subscribed to Charter TV can receive our station in any place in Door or Kewaunee counties. It's part of the basic tier. It is not one of the extra cost items. We've had an uneventful year for the most part. We had only one failure due to a power outage, which is apparently more widespread than just Glidden Drive for a change. So we were off the air for a couple hours, but it was in the wee hours in the morning, so I don't think it really mattered much. Otherwise, we've been running rather well. We have some equipment that is reaching the end of its life, and we're going to have to address that sometime soon, this year or next. Other than that, if you look at the handouts here, if you don't have any, we can make some more copies. This is the list of the shows we recorded last year. And then there's a summary. We recorded about 64, and about half of those were paid for by other people. The town did not pay for them, and they actually brought a few dollars into the town. These are Door County events. If someone else pays for it, they've usually requested it. That's a good thing. We cover not only these meetings, but also all of the Door County board meetings once a month, and Sister Bay board meetings. In fact, I have a crew in Sister Bay right now that is recording their meeting for later broadcast. We've had a little luck in getting some of the students in the school excited about video production, and I encouraged two of the girls, juniors at the school, to enter one of their projects into the Wisconsin Community Media Video Fest this year, and they won 2 awards with that one project, an Excellence Award in the category and also the Best in Show. I entered some of my videos too. They did not win as many as good awards. So I'm not jealous. I'm very pleased. I'm hoping that the school will do more things like that. And Kyle, it would be great if you would have some of your teachers and students make more videos that we can put on the air. We'd love to put them on the air. What a facility right next door. And if someone would like a little help on that, possibly use of some of our equipment, if we were able to train them, I think we can do that. The 2 ladies that did the project didn't need my help at all. In fact, it's probably better that I didn't offer them any. So those students and myself are going to be going down to the Wisconsin Community Media Convention, the yearly convention in Oshkosh on May 10th and 11th. And the 2 students plus at least 1 teacher, and I think their parents are coming along. The parents want to see the award ceremony, and the kids and one of the teachers actually want to participate in the the vendor fair where the video vendors show all the stuff they would love to sell us if we could afford it, and show you hands-on how to operate it. And you have a chance to hobnob with other people that have stations like ours. Most of them are much bigger than ours, but I can learn something from that. Maybe they can learn from us too. It's a great way to learn about these kind of communities. Besides the programs that we record and put on the air, and we can't do more than a few hours a week, we just don't have a staff for that, we do broadcast shows from other public educational government stations like ours across the country and even across the world that are provided either free or cheaply over the internet just for this purpose, so we can share resources. So we fill a lot of the time with these other programs. They vary from good quality to not so good, but at least they are other people like us. I'd like to have questions, or I'd like to answer questions.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to take away from Charter
Right.
cable station, but you might want to mention that most of your recordings are available on YouTube for those who do not have Charter.
Yes.
So maybe you could give the...
Exactly. Anything that we produce is available on YouTube, free. We're recording in high definition, by the way, nowadays, more than we used to, and so they look even better on YouTube. The easiest way to find something we recorded, especially recently, is to go to doorbell.net/video. If you forget that, just doorbell.net, and you'll see a link to the video page. I post thumbnails of the most recent things and some others that are not recent but interesting on that page, and you can see the entire shows there. And if you don't see what you're looking for and you think we recorded it, email me. And I'll be glad to tell you if we have it and what the link is. We don't take anything down from YouTube ever. It just gets harder to find. And if you have some ideas for some shows that we should record, please let me know. It may or may not work, but we're always open to ideas.
Questions from anyone?
I know they were kind of joking around a couple months ago and saying coffee with the clerk and having different people come in. I don't know if they communicated that with you at all, but if they, let's say, once a month and once every 2 weeks, would that put an extra financial burden on the district, or would that be something that you could come in because it's here with your equipment and do? Because there's so many interesting people in our district, I think it would be neat. They were kicking it around just kind of joking. But
Who is they? Who is they?
The board.
Oh, I wasn't in that discussion, but it sounds like a good idea. Would you like to be the interviewer?
Yeah.
We need volunteers. If someone
would that be something that comes in within the realm of the charges, or would that be an additional cost?
Well, we would always welcome some financial help. If someone would like to donate something to help do this, or donate your time. If you would like to interview people and you have people that you know that need to be interviewed, we need to talk. The town will pay for a few events a month of that nature, but only a few. There's a limited budget for that kind of thing. I actually volunteer to do some things that I don't get paid for at all. It depends on how interesting I think it is, I guess. But I'm open to ideas. Please talk to me. If we wanted to have a coffee thing once every 2 weeks, that would be great. We publicize it and say, Tuesday, 9 o'clock or whatever, show up here and we'll talk. That'd be a great idea. I need help, though, with some people to organize that kind of thing, really.
Laddie,
Yes,
on something like that, actually, we'll fess up, Amy and I have been talking about that. And because I tell you what, there's a lot of interesting young people, old timers. Again, we could maybe get, somebody from school to come and talk about, remodeling, addition, new building. We talked about paying for it. Can you get advertising for that? Or is that not kosher?
Well, we have not been advertising. We've talked about it in the past. It would have to go through the cable committee and we'd have to make a policy.
Right.
So far we have not decided to do that. Some stations do. and it's a legal matter. We'd have to make sure it would be okay and legal and all above board. What I have done, though, is I have actually gone around to places like Young Auto and say, hey, I'm recording a concert next week. Would you like to sponsor it? I'll put about 30 seconds of an ad that you give me, basically. It's just like a PBS thing. You tell me what you would like, and I say, this show was sponsored by somebody. And the nice thing about that is, since we run concerts usually for years, again and again, the ad stays on there, unless someone wants us to take it off. So that's one possibility. Actually, we have done a lot of shows of that nature, of interviews with people and interviews of people, veterans, things like that. Haven't done that many this last year, but we have done in the past, and I'm very willing to do more. Bring me an interesting person.
Okay. Thank you, Letty.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll have Tony Hayne talk a little bit about Park and Recreation.
Okay, like I say, it's always sunny in Sevastopol Town Park. The other day I called the radio station, everybody was complaining about the cold. We had 65 degrees. The kids were out there kicking soccer balls around. They wouldn't believe me, and well, you know, so that's that story. Anyway, field conditions. So far, somebody really ticked off Mother Nature. We've missed 11 high school ball games. Softball and baseball will be, you know, at the end of this week, we'll have 11 games that have been canceled. Not much we can do about it. Last Friday morning, I came through here. Believe it or not, we had a little bit of water in the north, on this baseball field, the center left field area. Those fields could have been played on. So I was crossing my fingers. Well, Evelyn came and kind of screwed that up on us. So depending on the weather, we don't know when the next games are going to be played. Looking out there right now, you probably won't get on those fields till middle of May if we're lucky. The good news is we do have a couple of people in place for the high school season. So as soon as the old girl decides we can start playing, we'll get the fields prepped. But if anybody out there is looking for summer employment, I've got the high school season covered, but I still need a couple of seasonal employees. So if you know any young guys, maybe even girls, you know, I'm not a chauvinist. If they want to drive lawnmower and haul bags, anyway, we're looking for that. Let's move on here to Park yet. This year we've got a full slate of Babe Ruth, Legion, and Institute Cubs games, and almost every night of the week we're going to have a ball game. But the one that's really near and dear to my heart, and I love these little guys, the Rudy Tutors of Institute, 4K and 5K. Now, if you want to see little guys and girls, they're only about this tall, and there's a dedicated group of parents every year that a couple people spearhead it. They're out there every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock. It starts May 23rd if Mother Nature cooperates, and it goes to June 27th. And they teach them, they take, you know, softball, they teach them the batting, throwing, and then afterward, the parents bring snacks. So I tell you what, you want to see some fun, you go out there and watch those little guys, because they're cuter than the bugs you're running around those bases. Let's go back to the Clark Lake Dam, which our committee also handles. We checked the dam on Friday. It was 9-0. Right now, the scale says from March 20th to May 1st, minimum of 7.25. We like to get it down in the mid, 8.85 area. And we've got one board we're going to pull this week. There's still ice on the lake. So we're watching that pretty close. Town line boat launch. I've had a couple people call me. When are we going to put the dock in? Dan usually handles that. Well, obviously, again, you're not putting any ramps or docks in until the weather shows up.
It's in. You just can't see it. It's covered with snow.
There you go. Our Park and Rec Board is also our guys, or I call them my guys, take care of the Clark Lake Beach, the Whitefish Bay ramp, and the town line ramp, cleaning up the garbage, checking the porta potties, and then we take care of the kiosk for the, Chuck, what's the name of that again?
Coastal Byway.
Coastal Byway, shame on me. Coastal Byway, we take care of the kiosk. And now we have a new job, the parking lot at the Old Town Dump. Our guys will go and patrol that and clean up. So if you see garbage on the side of the road, or somebody loves to throw garbage in that creek down there, we've had toilets and tires and all that. My guys are more than willing to crawl in there, and if they won't do it, we got Amy. Thank you. Any questions? That's it.
I'm sorry, I was adjusting something. Plan Commission, John, you want to?
Sure. Well, we have 7 members on the committee. We are full right now, which is good. I'm happy about that. We get variances and conditional use permits, and we try to interpret the comprehensive plan and make our best judgment, and then we recommend to the town board for advisement, and the town board looks at the whole, and they recommend to the county board, which the county board can overturn us at any given time if they want, so, which happens very often. Seems like sometimes when we recommend something, they do just the opposite, but it works well. So, as you know, a lot of our work is going to Bay Lake Regional Planning too. We've hired them. They are going to assist us, as you heard from Brandon, in the update of the comprehensive plan. And please be sure that when we have these open meetings to the public, please be sure the more people we have there, the merrier, the more input we can have would be great. So other than that, it's not as exciting as the parks chairman has, but it's still a comprehensive plan, it's still a job. So I thank you very much, and please make the public meetings. Thank you.
Okay, property management, and Chuck's filling in on his old job. Cover that topic.
The committee is the Property Management Committee, and somebody gave it the name nuisance. I just hate that word. But I think a lot of you out there maybe remember George Carlin, the comedian. He always talked about stuff. My stuff, your stuff, my stuff's better than your stuff. I got more stuff than you got, you know, and he made an hour-long presentation on it. Well, that's kind of what we're up against. Who's got the most stuff, whose stuff is worthy of keeping, and whose stuff is so-called garbage, junk, whatever. We've made an attempt this past year to clean things up. There are numerous properties around where the stuff has gotten to be too much accumulation of abandoned automobiles, inoperable, you name it, it's out there. So we started a campaign. Anybody that made a complaint, we took that complaint seriously. We went out, we investigated it, looked it over, came back with the committee decision as to whether or not it constituted a violation of our ordinance. And from there, we went out and wrote letters asking the people to clean it up. We gave them the parts of the ordinance that they were in violation of, and you know, just a simple request: clean it up, take it. You know, if it is junk, get rid of it. If it's something you cherish yet, at least put it away in a building or behind a fence or behind the house, so that it's not visible from the road or the neighbor's property. Some people don't care what kind of stuff you got, they just don't like it. So we had pretty good response. Every letter had my name, my phone number. Anybody had a question on what the problem was, they were just call and we can discuss it, come up with some way of alleviating the problem. Majority of people just took it to heart, cleaned it up, and have no problems. Some started the project and then evidently it overwhelmed them, they gave up. So they may have gotten a second letter, or they may be on the list to get a second letter this time around. We looked at a lot of dilapidated buildings. Our town is just inundated with dilapidated buildings. Roofs caved in, barns falling over, you name it. It's everywhere you look. We realize it's expensive now to try to clean something like that up. But some people can do it, some will do it. We request that you do. We request that if you can't do it, give us a call. Maybe we can help you out in some manner. There may be some grants available somewhere. There may be some assistance to help get it taken care of. We're not forcing anybody to do anything. We're just asking for their cooperation at this point, and hopefully we can clean things up. So, and in order to write a citation, it gets expensive, and in most cases, you will wind up hiring an attorney or winding up in court with some of these cases. So you need some enforcement. I'm not saying that everybody voluntarily cleans it up, and some will need to be ordered to do so by the court system, not by me.
Question, Chuck. You're following county and state laws, right?
Correct. State statutes, county ordinances.
Why do we need this on top of that? What is the purpose of this nuisance law if we already have laws in the
The nuisance ordinance for the town gives the town authority to act.
Exactly.
In a lot of cases, the state is overwhelmed, they will not act. The laws are there, they're passed down to us to enforce. In order to do that, we have our nuisance ordinance. Anyone that the county gets involved in is mainly related to zoning issues. And if it is one of those, it is, you know, if somebody complained to me about somebody doing something without a permit, that is a county issue because county runs the zoning or is in control of the zoning ordinances. So my position would be to turn it over to the county and see what they're going to do about it. And if there is a problem, they will pursue it, and it could go into a legal battle, or it might just be a simple case where the person really didn't know they needed a permit, and they will apply for one, and the worst penalty to them at that point would be double the fees for that permit because they started the project without one. I mean, that would be the simplest and easiest way to alleviate your problem. I mean, if you argue and fight and you want to get an attorney, then the county is going to be right there with theirs. So,
But how do you choose one property going down this block, the next property has the same, almost exact situation, and they don't get any? Are you picking certain people? Are you targeting people?
we have not picked on anybody. We have acted on the complaints presented to us. So if somebody complained about address X, that's the one we went to. We may have noticed address B has the same problem, but we haven't gotten a complaint yet, and we have enough on our plate right now to go ahead and take care of the ones that are presented. Their name would be marked on the list as something to keep an eye on. And when the time comes, they may get the letter or will get the letter too. I mean, it's hard, you can't go over the entire town. I mean, if I did that, I'd write everybody a letter. So, you know, and you get to the point as to, in whose eye, what is the actual nuisance? You know, you may think what you have is a valuable collector's car. Your neighbor thinks it's a rotten piece of junk sitting in your yard with 4 flat tires. So what are you going to do? My position is I'm going to come and I'm going to ask you, if you value it that much, put it in the garage or put it behind the house or a fence. You know, you're irritating your neighbors. So if you're willing to work with us, we don't have a problem.
I have a question, please. I noticed, I watched Lonnie's YouTube videos of the town board meetings. And my question is it the duty of the property management committee and the town board to report and find infractions while they're on the touring, or while they're road touring the township? If so, how does the town board and property management committee determine who is in violation and who is not on the same roads if you are driving around? Because in the minutes of May 15th, of the board meeting minutes, it was described at how you were looking at, or somehow what you were doing on your road tour.
That is one time when the board gets together and they cruise the entire town. The main objective of that ride is to check out the roads. But at the same time, we are looking at other aspects of the town under ordinances, under rules and regulations. If we see what we consider a problem, we mark it down, then it's turned over to the proper committees and they reinvestigate it, take a look at it. It's not one person's decision, it goes before a committee who decides whether or not it's worthy of ignoring it or pursuing it.
But you're going one person complaining, we're not allowed to find out who it is. I came into Amy and asked, I have to pay for this information for her time. But yet they can file a complaint and we don't know who it is.
In 99% of the complaints we receive, the people wish to remain anonymous. They have that option on the complaint form, and we abide by it.
So if a person is staying anonymous, how does the board determine if it's a frivolous complaint, or maybe it could be 2 neighbors just not liking each other at the time? Wouldn't you start to think they're going to get more of these complaints?
The board does not make that determination. That's the purpose of the committee. The committee is
the property management.
Correct. The
So
property
how does the property management
commitment committee, a group of people, sit down and discuss and prioritize.
John will get to you,
So
you can put your hand down.
So how does the property management committee determine if it's an anonymous, if it's frivolous, where you cannot go back and contact the complaintee, you know, in order to find out what's actually going on?
That's where the investigation comes in. You go back and they gave us a name and an address. We go and we look. Now it's our determination as to whether or not there is a violation of the codes.
Okay, so in the case, and when I'm reading the codes and I'm reading the ordinances, it states that if I am having a barbecue or a bonfire and my smoke leaves the property and goes on to another person's property and they deem it a nuisance or an annoyance, they can put in a complaint. Well, when you get there, maybe not.
When I get there, you've already had your hot dogs, hamburgers, or whatever, and the fire is out, and I don't see a complaint.
But if they continue to do this, it becomes frivolous.
If you're burning rubbish and it's just leaves and grass, and you have the fire permit, there's no problem. If you're burning illegal items like tires, then we do have a problem. So, I mean, it's all a judgment call.
It's all a judgment, and who's doing the complaining, and how, at the time, the property management committee for the season.
I would suggest, for the purpose of this discussion, that you consider attending the property nuisance or property committee meetings.
I'd like to become part of it.
They are all open to public, so anytime you feel the urge, we post the agendas, and I think that's probably the best way, because we don't have the time this evening to get into all the nuances, excuse me, okay?
John had one more question there. I would like to hear it.
That's it, you got time for it?
If it's not going to take,
Time for it, do you want to hear it or not?
if it's not going to take a long time, I mean, if it's a question, I'll listen. If it's an argument, I'd like you to bring it to the committee.
Okay, a couple months back at a town board meeting, brought to the point, I think it was November's, where there was 3 falsified reports against my property. Fire Chief Dittman reported 200 tires on my property. So now, as a committee, who do I hold responsible to come after for the falsified reports?
This committee never received a complaint of such. We know nothing about it. I have never seen a complaint about tires on your property.
Did you get a letter from us?
So then there's somebody BSing somebody, because there's a cop sitting right alongside me at that 5th board meeting.
John, I will gladly sit there and discuss your personal problem at the committee level. What I'm telling you right now is the Sevastopol Property Management Committee.
Your committee is a bunch of bullies, and they're trying to run people out of this town, and they're pissing away the committee.
John, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chuck, you want to briefly do the tourism zone, and we will move on?
You got another committee? Go ahead and do that one first.
Okay. Linda?
Okay.
Coastal byways?
The Door County Coastal Byway. I just picked up brand new brochures this afternoon. We are one of 8 northern Door communities, municipalities that belong to the Coastal Byway, the Door County Coastal Byway. It's a 66-mile loop that starts at the Mill intersection, runs up one side on 42 and one side on 57, making that loop. It was designated in 2010, and our annual expense to belong to the Coastal Byway is a nominal $300 a year right now. It covers the cost of maintaining our website and administrative costs, some printing for these brochures. We also do a coloring book that is passed out at the various visitor centers up and down the peninsula. And I was really surprised that when I fired up my laptop just last week, you know how you have that nice scenic picture? Here was the Door County Coastal Byway. It was a spring picture with nice new blacktop. This is that curvy road that runs from Gills Rock to Northport. So we do get publicity on it. And like I said, the cost of the town is minimal. Yes, Highway 42. And Supervisor Tice and I have been with the Coastal Byway Council since its inception. We meet on a regular basis. Some things we're looking forward to is maybe restructuring our website, perhaps sharing with the Door County Visitor Bureau, and avoid some duplication that's going on. We also are up for a 10-year reapplication to see if we still qualify. There's certain standards that you have to meet for coastal byways, such as not too much road signage and detracting scenery along the highway. So if anybody has any questions, like I said, the brochure is right there. Please promote our coastal byway. It's a beautiful drive, no matter what the season. I don't know about Sunday or Saturday, but thank you.
Chuck, you want to tackle the tourism zone, and then we'll try and get this meeting wrapping up?
2017 concluded the Door County room tax collections being up 4.2% over last year. For 2017, there were 1,273,109 available room nights in the Door County. Visitors filled 560,968 of those rooms. Occupancy in Door County for 2017 was 44.06%. The average daily rate, now it's average between everything, was $153 per night. Year-end reporting can be viewed at the Tourism Zone's website. That's www.doorcountytourismzone.com. Since 2009, which was the benchmark year for all 19 Door County municipalities were part of the tourism zone, we have seen the following growth with the direct results of the partnership between the lodging providers and the tourism zone and the Door County Visitors Bureau. Available rooms have grown by 5.26%. Occupied rooms have grown by 26.88%. That's 118,857 more rooms occupied since 2009, based on a double occupancy. Average daily rate has grown by 21.39%. That's a difference of $26.96 per night. And the occupancy rate has grown to 36.56. It's 44.06 in 2017.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
I think we'll be looking at an exceptional year again this year, so things are picking up real good.
Okay.
You got a question on the floor?
What's included in what kind of lodging is included in that? Is it hotels, motels?
All transient lodging. Anybody that rents a room for less than 30 days. 30 days would be like a hotel or motel or an apartment building. Less than 30 days is a tourism rental, considered a tourism rental. So that would include, in our town, Westwood Shores Condominium Group, Bayshore Inn, out on Glidden Drive, you got Glidden Lodge. The few little hotels, motels we have, all the private homes that rent out a room, or they may rent out the entire home for a week or whatever. There's a lot of that on both shores. And it also includes bed and breakfast and any other type of lodging. There is a question at the point, and it is coming down, that even campgrounds that have permanent buildings fall under that category, and people that are renting out their boats are under that category. So I mean, it encompasses a lot of different types of rentals.
Okay, any other questions? All right, just move back here a little bit to the agenda. Just wanted to give you an idea. There are 3 roads that we are anticipating that we will review and look at for construction this year: Nelson Lane, Clark Lake Road, and Haberly, sections of each of those roads. We have them on our target list to do some work. If you have another road that you would like to make sure that we review and look at for potential repair, or if there's a problem, please contact one of the supervisors, Amy or myself, or if you have one today, feel free to let us know. We will add it to the list when we do the road tour. Any electors' concerns from the floor? Is there anything that, beyond what we've already touched on, anything else that you would like us to look at in the months ahead? Yes.
It's a kind of a resolution that I've written up, which I'd like to give you guys. Like, for 40 years, the Sevastopol town property was used by the Sevastopol River. We used hunting, hiking, fishing, whatever we could do in there. Can't quite fish, but in 2017, the town board posted a no trespassing sign restricting access to the property. After talking with the DNR and asking what activities would be allowable, I was informed that the only restriction would be motorized vehicles. So at this time, I make a resolution that the 20 acres of the Sevastopol townhouse property be open to the public for recreational use. That means motorized vehicles on use on the property, and I also make a resolution that we change the no trespassing zone.
Fine, we will take a look at that at a future meeting. We would leave that with Amy. Anything else?
I would like to make a motion that the 5 board members really study our legal aspect and look into different legal representation that don't have a huge conflict of interest between the county, City of Sturgeon Bay, City of Sturgeon Bay Fire Department, and the town of Sevastopol. So basically, it should say, get rid of Mr. Nisbet because he represents everybody in the county. That is a huge conflict of interest. And what's really funny is, you have an ex-attorney sitting on your board, and he knows what a conflict of interest is.
Okay. Anything else? You're not going to read the same thing. Just kidding.
I'm not gonna do the same thing. I'm trying to be polite and good. Point of order again, the motion, is there a second?
Pardon me?
Point of order again, the motion, is there a second? Oh, I didn't hear it.
No.
I did make a motion, correct?
I'll second it.
Didn't you get the second?
I did not hear that. Who was the second?
Kim.
Pardon me?
Kimberly Danielle.
Kim and John and Kim? Fine.
Could you restate the motion, please?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the motion is to restate it, please.
Check for different, the motion is to look into getting a different attorney to handle all the legal aspects of the town, because there is a conflict of interest between the county, the city, the fire department, and the town of Sevastopol. We can't have one attorney representing everybody. It just does not work.
Yeah, I agree. Amy, reread that motion to me, please.
A motion to look into a different attorney to handle legal aspects of the town because there is a conflict of interest between municipalities. Is that how it is intended?
Correct.
Okay, that's an advisory motion, so that's fine. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I'm going to need a show of hands here. So all those in favor, raise your hand, please. Only one hand, okay? No, just kidding. Who can count? Because I can't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. 14-4. And opposed? Hands, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, motion carries. We'll take a look at it. Thank you.
What's
All
the
right.
count?
14-3, 4.
There's more
Okay.
than that many people here.
Not everybody voted.
We had a lot of non-voters. You have to be a member of the town as well. Okay, announcements, 2018 open book. This is your chance to come in and take a look at property taxes in your neighborhood. Friday, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Sorry. Go ahead. I'll back up.
I hate to go back to this, but I feel I really need to, because back in 2010, when this, the ordinance, the nuisance ordinance, was being compiled, and back then it bothered me a lot. And after this last several weeks, and probably, the last couple of months, speaking with different residents in the town of Sevastopol, I find that 90% of the people I talked to did not know of this ordinance or did not understand what this ordinance was about. And they feel that if they came forward, like some of the situations that have happened, if they would come forward to the property management committee and say, hey, let's give this guy a break or whatever, that they may be targeted and be the next one on the list to receive the letter. So I am proposing a resolution. I'm hoping this kind of smooths everything over and maybe help people to understand what's going on. I understand totally, we have to have laws, we have to have rules. I get it. but sometimes being able to clarify rules and getting your residents and your constituents out here on board is more important than just dumping letters out there. So I would like to propose a resolution to form a committee that includes Sevastopol town residents and a board member to revise the ordinance for the purpose of clarifying the wording, procedures, and protocols of actions taken for complaints and for filing the complaint. I would also like to make all complainants' names and complaints available for review by the resident receiving the infraction. And to review the complainant, constituent, contact, and response forms to include the complainant's name, address, and signature, and to remove the anonymous checkbox. Create a plan to encourage more residents to attend town board meetings by creating a more informative agenda to better inform the residents of the issues of the township, and to post meeting notices throughout the township with better visions at the posting locations. I'm finding these are some of the statements and the complaints and the worries of their thought process as to why they're not being here and not being informed. So with that, I thank you for your time, and I do have it written out for you, along with a lot of the complaints or the concerns that were being stated before.
But you've combined about 12 different things into one, so I can't deal with that. But I would tell you that your first comment, that most of the people you talk to don't know about it, is not unusual with respect to anything that the town does. 9 times out of 10, the only time we hear that there's an issue is when there is a problem and it comes forth. That's when people, for example, a winery that you may have been familiar with. Until these things happen and somebody really looks at it and sees it concerns them, then they become interested. During all the times, all the discussions, all the time spent developing, all the time on the committee, all the time, the legal time, money, and all the investments, most people don't show up. It's only after the fact that they have these concerns. I would say, with respect to your concerns on the nuisance and property committee, that you're going to need to take it to the committee and let them decide those aspects with public input that may or may not need to be modified. And that is where I will leave that at this point. All right?
All right. Yeah, and that's why in number 4, I said, again, with yours, I realize that you don't have everybody coming to the meetings that you would like. But I do understand also that when I see an agenda, unless I call Amy or whoever to get, they're very vague. Your agenda throughout down becomes very vague. And I think you would find that more people would attend meetings if they knew that this may affect them, or have some, or they would have a voice in it and understood what's going on.
We do every effort. Our agendas are not any briefer than any of the other towns or communities. We try to explain that. We televise our meetings, which most of the communities up here do not do. Like, it's available not only on your channel, but on YouTube. We communicate as much as possible. We have email directories that Amy maintains. We go out of our way, newsletters and everything else. And you only get those issues, frankly, when there's an issue with some individual. But in your case, please go to the nuisance committee. If you have, any of you have concerns with any of the committees that you feel, that's the reason we have the committees. All of the meetings are posted. They're all open to the public. You're welcome to come and share your concerns and have the committees take the appropriate action, and then they will bring it to the town board. Okay?
Are those meetings coinciding with your regular town meetings?
No, those meetings are separate. They're held by the committee chairs. Amy publishes those and posts those as well, and you can be added to an email list that she maintains for distribution.
I'm on the email list, I haven't, don't say anything about the
So, okay? So,
thank you.
no problem. So back to the announcements. We talked about the open book, Friday, June 1st, beginning at 10 a.m. That's here at the town hall. And then the Board of Review is on Monday, June 25th, beginning at 1 p.m. So if there's an issue that arises after you've been to the open book and talked to the assessor, the Board of Review is when to do that. And with that, we would take a motion to adjourn this annual meeting to our next annual meeting, which will be April 16th, 2019, which is the third Tuesday in April of next year. So, Oh, thank you, Mary Ellen and Jay. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance. Supervisors meeting for Tuesday, April 17th at 8:20 p.m. And we will have a roll call to establish the quorum. Amy?
Supervisor John Stavenus.
Here.
Supervisor Linda Waite. Here. Chairman Dan Wolfle.
Here.
Supervisor Jim Nellen.
Here.
Supervisor Tony Haynes.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. I am going to skip the meet and greet because they're all the same people, unless somebody here new popped in that I didn't.
There is somebody.
Right
Oh,
there.
no. Okay.
John Moore with the Door County Century Ride.
Ah.
Director.
All right. How you doing, John?
Good to see you again.
All right. Public participation on non-agenda items.
My name is Karen Brower, Gordon Road. I'm actually the town representative for the school board,
Right.
Sevastopol School Board. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Nellen and Mr. Stavenus. I would like to try to get to more of these, but to be honest, a lot of our CFAC meetings, as Linda knows, have been conflicting with the town board meetings, so I apologize I haven't been able to attend. School's been busy as always, as you can imagine. It does say it's spring on the calendar, and you can only imagine how frustrating that is for soccer, golf, track, softball, baseball. I have a very frustrated softball coach in my home, and along with 2 players. We're halfway through our season, and we've yet to be on the field, as Tony mentioned earlier. But we're undefeated, so.
That's good.
Since the last meeting I was able to attend, we've had the Pioneer Times hit your mailbox again, and another edition will be coming out in May. Earlier this year, 5 of the 7 school board members, along with Mr. Luedtke that you met earlier, were able to attend the state school board convention in Milwaukee. We've got a lot of great information and things that we're going to be implementing at school. Next Wednesday, we have the academic luncheon at school for the students at the school to be held at the Mill. It is for our current NHS, National Honor Society students, as well as our inductees, and students with a 3.8 GPA or better. We always have a packed house to be great to speak of our students. Prom is the 28th of April, and it will be at the Log Den. And then afterwards, they'll have an evening of fun afterwards at the Harbor Fun Park. In March, we had 3 of the 4 top teams at the County Math Team competition from middle school, including the 3rd straight year for the championship team. Graduation is June 3rd, with about 36 students graduating from this year's class. And then the last day of school for the other students is June 7th. We have 4 teams going to Knoxville, Tennessee for the Global Championships for Destination Imagination. And we, in March, wrapped up another successful season of the community courses, which is great because we invite everybody in the community is invited to participate. We send out a survey in the fall as to what they're looking for classes. I saw Linda at a couple, I've seen other people here tonight. They're anywhere from exercise to computers to crafting to financial advising. So in the fall, when that survey comes out of what you're wanting, please make sure to put your input in. We'll get more classes going. And then in the next few weeks, the Sevastopol Elementary Facebook page is going to be converting into a district-wide page. So for those of you who have not already liked our elementary page, please do so. And it's going to have a broader, all-encompassing school platform in the future. We're hoping that'll convert around May 1st. And then we'll also be having some Twitter and Instagram representing the school and getting communications out to all people of all demographics and all levels. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else here on?
Me again. Can you hear my stand, folks?
Sure.
If you'd like.
Great. I'm John Morey, and I'm actually from 776 Harbor Drive in Nellen, Wisconsin. So we don't have half the snow that you folks have here. So
Want some?
when I drove up here, I was in the first traffic. So like I said before, I'm the director of the Door County Century Ride. Some of you are familiar with it. John, I'm very familiar with it. This is the 40th year of the ride, so it's been going on since 1979. And the one thing that we try to do is we try to keep it as classic as possible because it is such a long-standing tradition. And really no major changes on my side of things as far as the course routes and things of that nature. It still originates in Sturgeon Bay at Fairgrounds. I work with the
county and DOT and also any of the municipalities to make sure that the roads are in the conditions we need for the riders, and that we do our due diligence too to make sure the riders don't get mixed up, lost, and carried away with the whole experience of riding that long distance. So the routes themselves go in a clockwise pattern, so they go along the bay up to as far north as Sister Bay, and then down along the location shoreline to Sevastopol. So just a couple things that are kind of interesting. I just dug this up today. Is 70% of our riders do the 100-mile route. So we have a 30, a 50, and a 70-mile route as well. But almost all of them do the long route. So they're all in for a punching ride, I guess. I don't know if you want to do that. But that's kind of an interesting statistic. Also, let me see if I can read my notes here. It looks like we have 25 states that are represented as of 2017, and even the state of Hawaii, and 18 countries. So not only is it a Wisconsin event, it's also a national and international event, which not a lot of folks are familiar with that. So the reason I'm here today is not to take up your time, it's just to greet you again, say hello, and before I put in my special event permit to Amy, I want to make sure that if there's any things that have kind of bubbled to the surface over the last year, and you need to address any points about the event, I'd be happy to do that.
All right, anyone from the board, questions?
And the dates are? The dates, please, John?
Dates?
Dates?
The dates?
Oh, the dates, I'm sorry.
Dates.
It's always the Sunday after Labor Day. So
Yeah.
this year it's September 9th. And the ride starts at daybreak, all the way up until 10 a.m. We let folks leave in a window of time versus having them do 1 hour. Because if they did that, they would literally shut down the whole town for the entire day. So we try to let them filter out as they can.
I know the biggest thing is, I know you stress this, but try to make them ride single file. That's the biggest part of the complaints is when they're 3, 4, 5 across the road, and I know you can't patrol everything, but that's one of the biggest complaints that we get is blocking people. But
So I think that's when you get into numbers like that, where riders get to ride with packs of other riders, they kind of get lost in the moment. And the one thing that we do is with the sheriff's department, they're constantly rolling the course, and that's one of the things that they look out for. And we also have rider ambassadors that are out there. That's kind of what they're supposed to do is kind of keep the peace and make sure that people are understanding the rules of the road, not going through stop signs, not having kind of that stampede mentality. Sometimes it's like this now.
right. Okay, thank you.
Good. Anyone?
Just so for your information, you asked if there are any complaints building up. The last 2 years, I know a farmer that has been told to not leave their property to go to their other property on the road from his driveway to where he had to go. September is a time for harvest, and if you're going to shut down somebody's property, you need to know that that's happening, and they were very aggressive to keep him in his own driveway, not able to do his produce. So I can talk to you about that later, but you need to know if that happened to one, it probably is not an isolated incident.
Sure. So the riders are keeping, or
The rider and your, whatever you call the person that is there in with the vest, et cetera, said cannot.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else? We're going to move on?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Adopt the agenda. I assume it has been properly noticed?
The agenda has been properly noticed.
Then I would need a motion to adopt.
I'll make a
I move to
motion.
adopt the agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Tony, second by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, approval of minutes, Board of Supervisors meeting, February 19. Motion to approve. You should all be given a chance to look at it from Amy's perspective first. want to
I
approve
will
them?
move to approve the minutes of February 19th, 2018.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Linda, second by Jim, to approve the minutes from Board of Supervisors meeting February 19th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Pending business. Linda, let me ask you this question, given our time here. How much time do you think you want?
I will make it extremely brief. Would
All
that
right.
be acceptable?
That would be great. Conditional use permit process changes, please, Linda.
Okay, the Door County Land Use, formerly known as Door County Planning and Zoning Department, is back to holding public education sessions for town and plan commission members. The conditional use permits per Act 67, all these changes coming down from the legislation. The main change is that a conditional use permit must be approved if substantial evidence supports the request. So if the conditional use permit application satisfies ordinance regulations, it cannot be denied. Now, the RPC committee at the county level, that process is still the same. The town will still receive a 28-day notice, still have the opportunity to provide input and recommendations, just like before, but the RPC committee must stick with this substantial evidence. So it can, it will still abide by its about 14 different conditions as far as safety and lighting and things like that, and traffic studies. And they can also impose additional conditions. But that is the main change to conditional use permits. There's some other things. I know that it's late and I won't go into all that, but with conditional use permits, there's changes to wetland zoning, there's metallic and non-metallic mining changes. The scope of project is also a thing that if an application is made, the applicant will complete a scope of project. And the date on that scope is what's in effect at that time. So although there may be changes after they make their application, the scope of project, and I do have that form which I'll share with Amy, that was the main thing as well. But there's land use text amendments, there's a lot coming down, non-conforming use changes. I'm hoping that Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission will help us with a lot of this. And I'd also put a plug in for Door County land use, and that we follow the Door County zoning ordinance. It makes it so much easier for Sevastopol when it comes to enforcement, and just relying on them to know what the latest change is or coming down the pipeline.
So my question, and this includes me too, what are we going to do to educate the committee? Because I know that I was out of town at the time and you attended it, and I appreciate that. I don't know, John, did you go to that? I don't think.
I did not make that one.
So I think we need to put in place something that brings...
I do have the handout.
Okay.
Actually, I think you all had the handout. It came through Amy. Like I said, the main thing will be that substantial evidence and what is considered substantial evidence. You know, if you say that, well, that use next to my house is going to depreciate the value of my property. Give us some evidence, you know, give us a sample or an example.
It's going to eliminate the not in my backyard approach.
Pretty much so. Or just because I don't like something that's not substantial evidence, I'm
I
sorry.
think that was the presentation we recorded, wasn't there?
Yes, yes,
Long or something,
correct.
and it's on YouTube, so you can watch the whole thing.
Okay. Maybe you
I
get...
think you asked me to do it.
Yeah, I did, but I hadn't, so maybe that's a good, give us the information, we'll circulate it back to the committee so that they can watch and get up to speed
Yeah,
on
I
it.
think if you go to the doorbell.net/video, it'll be on the list somewhere down there. If not, let me know and I'll
Okay.
send you a
So
link.
the application process has changed just a little bit. The town review procedures, according to the land use director, will pretty much stay the same. That will still have the review period. And there will still be hearings with testimony and conditions placed and the decision-making, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Linda.
All right. Is this you, Amy, or Linda on the new? Linda?
Oh, the newsletter? Oh, well, like I mentioned, I would like to shoot for mid-June. Now, articles, we sort of had an outline of potential articles. Clerk's Corner, comprehensive plan update, road right-of-ways was one that our chairman talked about. Maybe an introduction, since we have a new town officer, Mr. Nellen. YouTube, put a plug there, traveling back. Obviously, I think the Plan Commission public hearings would be probably the most important thing to get that out by mid-June. Now, you might be getting a lot of surveys in the mail if the school is doing theirs at the same time.
Yeah.
And as far as submitting articles, do you want me to reach out to people? Or if you have something you want in the newsletter, please let us know. Maybe Property Management Committee could put together a paragraph or two.
I think it would be a good idea, Linda, to have different ideas and different thoughts. Maybe go back to some of this Sevastopol history, somebody, things like that, or they would like to do an editorial. I think that would keep the interest for people to open up your newsletter and want to read it.
Okay, so anybody interested in submitting an article or submitting a topic that you want to hear about, why don't you send an email to Amy at the office? And this will be a joint project between Amy and I on the newsletter, and or even a photo. Maybe we'll want to start, how about a photo of something in the town? Or, yeah, yesterday would have been, if we do this on an annual basis or biannually, photos are always nice. People like pictures. So, okay, so I will be contacting.
Figure out who does what to whom.
Yep.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Oh, yeah, Zoning Board of Adjustment. If you hadn't seen it, just so you know, from last month's or February's meeting where we had the people who wanted the auto dealership, Andrew Pfeffer, that was approved, so they're able to do that with obviously certain conditions. And the other one that came before us that month was the reconfiguration of the estate lots to accommodate the missing 19 feet. And that was approved by the Board of Adjustment as well, so those people are well on their way to getting their problem resolved. So just an FYI there. Yes?
Could I make a comment for the RPC? The next hearing of the RPC will be Thursday, May 3rd at 2:15. They will be addressing the definition of roadside stands and farm markets. That would be of interest to maybe some Sevastopol people with the winery, and retail tasting areas, commercial versus non-commercial. So that might be something that you might want to attend. And if the board members wanted to look at the Door County zoning ordinance, near the front of the ordinance, you can look at it online at the Door County site. There's a chart of uses that are allowed in the various zoning districts. Take a look at that, because land use will accept input from the town. Sevastopol, for instance, there's only 1 or 2 towns that still have prime egg. We're one of them. So do we want to take a look at that chart of accounts and, okay, we no longer want this allowed in prime egg. At least bring it to the attention of the land use department.
Switching gears and going on to new business. We need to select a vice chairman with Chuck's stepping down, and we need to do that, and it's through a nomination process, and then the board would vote on who would be that person. So basically like any other motion that we've done in the past. So with that, anyone want to nominate anyone else?
I nominate John Stavenis for vice chairman.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second by by Tony and Linda. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor from Tony and Linda to nominate John Stavenis as vice chairman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that's carried. John?
I said aye.
The meeting's yours, I gotta go.
I guess I can't vote, can
Can
I?
I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so in a circumstance like that, where there is compensation involved, would you have to excuse or abstain from voting?
I have absolutely no idea. When
I
I
don't know,
looked at,
just-
well, when I looked at.
Jim?
I don't know, I'd have to take a
Let's
look.
put
at
it this
the
way,
ordinance.
I found nothing in the rules of Robert's Rules of Orders to address that. But I did look at it tonight.
I mean, not that
So-
it makes any difference.
I can
mean,
abstain if you want.
It still carries, but,
And it's still the same compensation.
Yeah. It's not a
As
pay
vice
raise.
chair.
but
As
if you're
supervisor.
acting, yeah, but if you're acting as chairman, you do get that additional,
So,
Oh,
right?
okay, I
I don't
abstain.
know.
I don't know. Oh, should I check it out?
We
for
can
next-
check it out.
For next year,
It's
or?
not going to change anything in the interim.
Yeah.
I would like John to have the rest of this meeting, though.
I
Okay,
don't want to be arrested by the end of it.
all right. This is going to go quick, because one of these things on the agenda, I can't even remember why it's there. Urban Towns Committee. This has come before us in the past. And I went to a meeting with Linda, and I listened to the people from Wisconsin Towns Association and Urban Towns discuss why it was important from their perspective that we maintain membership, not maintain, but start a membership. And basically, it all comes down pretty much to one thing. This is the group within the Wisconsin Towns Association that does all the lobbying on our behalf. And having been involved in the, I can't remember the word anymore, but the fight against NWTC that we undertook as a town and all the towns in the county undertook a few years ago, it was a lobbyist that brought that issue to bear in the state assembly, and it made sense. We put money forward, we hired someone to carry our message. So I think it's important, based on what I've heard, that we participate in this and that they carry forward our messages where we can make a difference. So we don't have to make a decision tonight. I can bring it back next month. And we pay 25 cents per resident, which is approximately $6.50 a year. My numbers are right, Amy? But I think it's probably worthwhile for us to jump in and participate in this, because they're the only ones that are bending our legislators' ears. And then we talk about things like cable and cable TV and franchise fee funding, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll bring it back next month, take a peek at it. If you don't have an issue, we'll sign up and put it in our budget.
Mr. Chairman, does the Towns Association take the position that the Town Association itself is like a 501c9 and can't lobby, that they have to lobby?
I don't know the answer to
Okay.
that. I think they just have this group focused on that single aspect as they're juggling all the other balls. I really wish I could tell you why the Whitefish Bay boat ramp is on there. I cannot remember.
Because the DNR is talking about
Ah.
putting a boat ramp in
Thank
at
you
the
very
Whitefish
much.
Dunes State Park.
I'm thinking Whitefish Bay where I live instead of Whitefish Bay Dunes State
Nope.
Park. My apologies. Okay. This is a result of an effort that Chuck did for me while I was gone, which he attended a meeting with a bunch of citizens attempting to get a boat ramp at Whitefish Bay Dunes State Park. Chuck's assessment after he went to the meeting is that it's probably has a very slim, if any, chance of happening, because apparently the DNR representatives did not think it was a good fit for the park. On the flip side, as a town board, over the years, we've spent considerable money and effort and time supporting trying to create access to Lake Michigan, both at Shower Park and at Whitefish Bay, Park Road, South Cape Point Drive. So it was my position, after hearing from Chuck, that it wasn't going to hurt us, and I don't know how much it'll help, but I wanted to write a letter to the DNR explaining why and I wanted to go in and cite a document that they published, which is their recreational opportunities analysis, where they state the feedback they've gotten from the public is increased lake access, fishing access, boating access. So unless you have an issue with that, I would like to send that out. So any comments from anyone? Go ahead.
If you could maybe incorporate somewhere that, I think they're studying redoing their long-range plan.
Right.
The DNR. Right. So maybe consider placing this in your long-range plan, or the sooner the better, or something like that. Right? We want it mentioned in their planning process.
Okay.
Something like that.
Well, it would be my take that if it's not in the long-range plan, they will not consider it at all. If it's in the plan, they can make a decision either up or down, but at least you get a little discussion in it.
Didn't they say that they weren't interested in putting it in their long-range plan too?
That was the take at the meeting. They did not feel it belonged in the long-range plan, that there's a lot of work to do before they would even want to consider it. They're talking about feasibility studies and the endangered species that might be in the area that would be disturbed should they have to do any excavating and so forth. But if it's not in the plan, it'll never get off the ground. So the main thing is to get it in the plan and then work on the feasibility study and go from there.
Okay, I will add that. So if the rest of you are in agreement, that's what I will do. And thank you for reminding me of what it was that I had in there. Okay, the next item is rural insurance data breach coverage, and this is more of anything in FYI. This has been added to our policy. Given all the people that are hacking into everything under the sun, this was a recommendation from the people at Wisconsin Towns Association and has been incorporated. Currently, we have coverage for $10,000 for $39. And again, we don't have to act on this tonight, but we can bring it back next month. I think that probably should be increased. I think that's probably a good idea. But do you have a thought on that? They're talking $39 for $10,000 worth of coverage. I don't think taking it to 25 would break us, but if you get involved where somebody either breaches our security, our own, or comes into the building and takes hard copy files or something of that nature, and you have a suit as a result of an identity issue. So,
Is there any case law on this?
There is.
Okay,
And what-
$10,000 won't go very far if someone comes in here and says, our records were breached and so-and-so has my social security number and birth date.
Well, there are really two issues you want to look at. One is liability concerns, but are they willing to, would they pay us in order to fix the problem if there were a breach? So that, because bringing in people, identifying the problem and figuring out how to fix it can be very expensive.
Right.
The other thing the insurance companies can do, which is very helpful, is in the process of underwriting the risk, they'll sometimes come in and do an assessment of your security safeguards, computer safeguards, and sometimes that's worth the premium payment itself, because it gives you a standard of care that you can then invoke in the event that anybody ever challenges the way you've handled your affairs.
no, that would be a great idea. We can find out from them if that's a service, and then next month, let's talk about what the limits might or should be. I mean, it's cheap, and it could be extremely, like you said, damaging and expensive. And we'll bring that back next month and decide where to go with it. Next item is road work. We need to pick a time for the road tour. I don't know that we have to do it, right away. I don't know if it makes a difference to the county one way or the other. Our roads are not that significant, but we can try and do it in May, or we can do it in early June. Does anybody have a preference one way or the other?
Wasn't there
usually,
something that you brought up, somebody brought up a couple meetings ago, we had to do it as soon as possible because of grants? Or did I hear that wrong?
Oh, no, not grants, but getting on the highway schedule.
Okay.
And another thing that's come up, we did get approval for our LRIP, our Local Road Improvement Program.
For Nelson.
So we need to put that out for bids. The
Okay.
highway department would do it if it was for asphalt only, but we requested the whole project. So maybe when you set the road date tour, you could include sending out the bid for Nelson so that we can get that underway and be able to act on that, you know, with the May meeting or whatever.
oh, so whereas we've done in the past, the county does the work and we put the pavement, the actual asphalt out for bid, you're saying this time?
This time we're putting the whole project
Project
out for
out.
bid. And did you mention about Bodwin Engineering?
Yeah,
This
that-
would be a great trial test for what can Bodwin do for us. I don't know what the cost would be, but you send them out to Nelson Lane, they prepare the bid information. Is that something you want me to investigate?
Well, we actually did investigate it a little bit last year, and Amy brought it back for this meeting, and I thought we would wait until we had a chance to talk about whether or not that was something we wanted to do. I believe the cost associated was, on some of the towns, was between $1,000 and $1,600, something in that category.
I
don't
want to
think-
say it was 16 to 3,000.
Was it? I don't have that note with me.
But when you think about all the headache that was
Right.
involved in some
How
of these
Right.
many
projects.
tonnage, you know, the tonnage, and this LRIP, this award is good for 2018 and 2019. So,
So
we
if
don't get it done till the fall or next year,
If
that's
we
fine
do hire
too.
Bodwood to do this, what guarantee are we gonna have from them? I mean,
They do it all. I
They
mean,
do it all.
They
they go out and measure
Yep.
the thickness of the
Yep.
blacktop
Yep.
and give us a report?
Yep, they do
And then
the
what if it
tonnage.
isn't, what if it isn't right?
Well, then we go back to the contractor, whomever it might be, and say the thing isn't done correctly. But they do the bid spec, they do all the follow-up, they take us out of this, how many tons we used, that whole scenario.
Yeah, especially if you're using state funds. Now, this is, you know, this is a
Right.
cost share, so we're getting $20,000 from the state, and there's certain, you know, that you have to abide by. So Bodwin would know all about that, saying, okay, we need a bid, and these are the terms, these are the specifications.
So do they charge by the mile, or?
I don't know.
The other communities that have used them have averaged, and I think Amy's probably right, $1,500 to $3,000 for them to do all their road bid work and follow-up. But what I can do is, we can test them on a single road, and if that's the case, I'll circle back with him, and I'll get us a price to determine what he would provide specifically for Nelson, and I'll bring it back to next month's meeting, and we can decide if we want to spend that money.
I think we may want to look at the bid document. I mean, if they're going to prepare the bid documents,
Right.
and they're going to do, in effect, the engineering, then take a look at what they present to us and see whether or not there's a carve-out, a liability carve-out for them, which there could be, but I think that's within our control.
So, okay. we'll do
And
that.
I'm sure they've done LRIP bids before. You know,
Right.
if we provide them with a copy of our approval, I'm sure they know where to take it.
Okay, so back to the conversation on the dates. I'll follow up with Bodwin. Do we have anybody have a suggested? It's typically, Jim, a Saturday, unless,
Can I add,
I'm sorry.
we did a repair of 100 feet on West Whitefish Bay Road in the vicinity of HH. As you're doing your road tour this year, I would appreciate it if you look at the rest of that road down to Bluff Drive. The last few days, that road has been in terrible shape. I know we have lists of roads we need to work on, but just want to be able to write that list.
Okay, Whitefish Bay from HH to Bluff.
West Whitefish Bay from HH to Bluff Drive.
Yep.
Minus roughly the 100 feet that we replaced.
Okay.
And just a reminder that when you do choose the roads to repair, that you contact the county so that they can check their survey markers before we grind them out of the ground.
Well, that's cool, I like that.
They grind up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notify Holly. And then, and also the highway department, if we have county trucks that we think need attention, bring that to the attention of the highway
So we
committee.
can put that on.
How about County T?
And they'll be happy to take a look.
County T is rough, it's all
Yeah.
gravel.
I mean, they have their capital projects planned for the next 5 years, but you never know.
It'll probably
They can
take
sneak
5 years.
something in.
5 years to do Glidden.
Yeah,
It's a rather big mess.
it is, all right.
Okay, so back to the conversation. on
Earlier the better.
Dates. We usually do a Saturday. We all pile in the monster truck and we'll see what we can find out on the roads. So does anybody have any particular time, dates? You want to do it in May? You want to do it early June? You want to do it?
May 12th, May 19th.
I can't do the 12th, but I could do the 19th if somebody wants that as a date.
I think I can do the 19th.
Tony?
Snow's guaranteed to be gone.
Tony, your voice has changed.
What do we have 19th? She's checking the calendar, our calendar.
I want to say something came in for the 19th, but I don't have it on the calendar.
Nothing?
Chapter banquet, but everyone has been ready to review.
Okay, let's set it tentatively for the 19th. When you get home, if there's some issue, give me a call back. We'll do the usual here at the town hall, then go out, check on the roads, and go from there.
Time? Is that 8?
I think that's what we did last time, didn't it? About 8 o'clock? Ends up taking half or 3/4 of the day anyhow, so might as well start it. Okay.
Doesn't the new guy bring donuts? He is listening.
All right. Also in your packet is the Harv's Electric estimate. Now, a little history on this one in terms of town hall driveway lighting. We get a fair number of complaints from people trying to get in here for voting or meetings or other things that the driveway lighting is not bright enough from the parking lot, and people have issues trying to get into the building. So we asked Harv's Electric, who did all the work out there for us, for an estimate and some ideas on lighting. And what you have in your packet is a proposal for $3,000 for them to come in and install 2 of these light fixtures. I think you have color copies of them, right? Right. And they're going to be put on a concrete pad, and they will trench from both of our outdoor light poles to both sides of the driveway. And these lights, although I have yet to find one at night, supposedly are focusable, so they can put them out there and they will direct the lighting onto the driveway. So I don't know your thoughts on it. The other option would be, which we don't have a cost for, would be to see if we could get another light pole moved over there. I don't know if that would be a better solution or not. Your thoughts on it?
I think it's a waste of money.
Pardon me?
I don't think they're big enough to put enough light out to do anything. And I personally think it looks like a waste of money.
Well, waste of money for lighting or these lights?
These lights, they're too short.
Okay, that's
They're not
fine.
gonna
I mean, they have
illuminate.
varying heights. That was his recommendation.
So what are you actually trying to illuminate?
We're
Is the
trying to get
entrance?
entrance to the
Yes.
driveway. And he said, positioning them out there and with their LED with focused lights, he said you can project down onto the driveway. Now, they're at Bay Shore Inn or Westwood?
They are at Westwood
Westwood
Shores
Shores.
and Anclam Park.
Yeah, they told us it was at Bailey's Harbor Boat Marina. I went up there were no lights. I thought they were crazy, and then they came back and told us it was another place. So it wasn't where they told us the first time.
I'll go by Bay Shore Inn and look at them then.
Bay Shore Inn at night or
Westwood Shores.
Or Westwood
Shore
Shores.
Shores. So either that,
I'll be riding around Norfolk County now.
yeah.
I'll be on the Century Tour.
Go ahead. Anything else?
I
mean, do you
agree
think-
with Supervisor Stavenus. I do not like this.
I'm not in
It's
love
too
with it
short,
either.
it's gonna get hit by a snowplow or a truck or somebody coming in here. We definitely need lighting. Ever since we've moved into this building, if that driveway is wet or covered with snow, it's impossible to see the entrance. I would be in favor of getting another light pole to match the ones that we have out there.
Okay.
Place it on the school side, downlight on the driveway. I mean, if you're gonna run electrical anyway,
Right, we have to, no
I don't
matter
know what
what.
the cost would be, but
And
that
they have
makes
to-
more sense to me.
They have to put a concrete pad in that anchor it and stuff, so I have no issue with that. So you're in agreement, though, that we should do something, we'll just pursue the alternative.
I
Good
think we
enough?
should do something about lighting that driveway.
Okay, I'm game for that. Institute Valmy Athletic Club seasonal beer license. Amy, this one is,
Yes, the Cubs would like a seasonal Class B beer license to use over at the town park. They have paid all of their dues and half of the year in advance for use of the fields. So other than that, they're all up to date. It was published and everything would be set to go.
and you got a half a year in advance.
I did.
Our other treasurer never was able to do that.
She was pretty easy.
I mean, because I think we just collected the other half of the year 2
All
years
right,
ago.
moving
Yeah.
right along.
Oh, we did.
All right, we got
It was
it.
all Tony.
Would you like a motion?
I would.
I would move to approve renewing the alcohol beverage license, a Class B beer-only seasonal license for the period May 1st through October 31st for the Institute and Valmy Athletic Club, subject to, I assume that the agent and the appointment of agent papers are on file?
Correct.
And you verified that any and all invoices have been paid, so.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion from Linda, second by John, to approve the Institute Valmy Athletic Club seasonal Class B beer license. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are in the beer business, okay. July Board of Supervisors clerk training. Turns out that our clerk is trying to take a graduate course here at UW next 2 years. And so we just caught the fact that the date's got to move because she's going to be in class giving her teacher an apple.
No.
So, no? Okay. So we had the 16th, right? July 16th, so we need to move it a week. Is that good with everybody?
Yes, everyone said it was fine with them,
Okay.
either a week before or a week after.
Okay, so we're going to move it to July 23rd,
Oh, not the 9th, the 23rd?
a week after?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we checked, right? 23rd. Okay, we'll do that. She'll publish a new updated list. All right, making progress. By the way, are you still planning to have a graduation party?
We
'Cause-
will, once we get all done.
It's
All right.
4 years though, isn't it?
Yeah, she's got
Yes.
2 years to go. It's
What are the dates, Amy, that you're gonna be gone?
The week of the 16th,
17th, Monday the 17th, right? Well, the 16th, 17th.
let me check.
Okay. Committee members, committee assignments with the change with Chuck and Jim. I reshuffled a few committee assignments. You have a copy of it in your packet. And I asked Amy to highlight who the chairman or lead person is for each committee. So you see that in bold with a little asterisk. So Jim is assuming the PEG cable channel, and we'll be working closely with Laddie. Tony's unchanged, John, with the Plan Commission. I did move Jim Nellen over to the Property Committee because we had too many supervisors on a committee, and we didn't have enough people, and we've added a fellow by the name of Jay Hubner. Board of Review, Chuck has agreed, he just couldn't stay away from us, so he's decided to be an alternate. So thank you for that. And then Jim is assuming Chuck's role as the lead in tourism and coastal byways. And I've also added, I think I should unadd our employee, right?
Right.
Okay. We did have a town employee here, but one of them is gone. Tim is no longer with us. So, and I've had Stacy.
Didn't last long.
No, he actually came in to tell me he wasn't taking the job, and I said, you already took the job, so you're coming in to resign. I thought, well, there's a slight nuance there. Any rate, okay, so that's, everybody knows where they're at. I would follow up with one additional comment, which is, I think we need to schedule some regular meetings for all of the committees. Some of the committees get, the intervals between get too long. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind, if nothing else, just as an update to approve your minutes from 6 months or a year ago. Okay? All right. Ordinances and resolutions. And this is on the appointment of election officials, and there was an added sheet was here on your, somewhere in this pile today. Amy, this is your resolution?
Correct. This is my resolution. We ran into some issues with election inspectors this past election. I had people who couldn't work because of certain people on the ticket. I had people that were elected officials that also couldn't work the polls. So I had additional people who were added to my election inspectors list, and I would like to bring that forward for approval.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll make a motion to approve this motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right. Motion by Dan, second by Linda, to approve resolution number 1-2018 TB, which is to amend resolution 06-2017 TB, the appointment of election officials. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? You have it done. Okay. Financial reports. You have in front of you the fund balances. These were February and March. You have both months because we didn't have a meeting in March. So you have those results. An interesting job that our treasurer did, because the balance February 28th in our account was $62.70.
Like that?
And we managed to jump to $60,953 a month later. Now, that doesn't happen in my checkbook, but it was a nice job, Amy.
Thank you.
You also have the budget versus actual for January through February and February through March. So you get duplicate reports there. And you also have the transaction list by date. So, and I'm going to say, Amy, you have something that you'd like to tell us?
I do. We did receive payment from Sevastopol School for the use of the park and the ball field. Beg your pardon?
Ooh. And no games played. Okay.
Yes, so a total of $3,500. Since we implemented the fee for special assessments, we have collected $625. We did receive our general transportation aids on March 30th. Snow removal is up to date through February 10th only. We have already used $42,000, which is 42% of our snow removal budget, without taking into consideration the last large snowstorm. And in conjunction, the town hall grounds is also at 50% of the budgeted amount due to all the snow and ice removal.
Okay. So I need a go ahead. Question?
Amy, could we, now that we parked some funds with local government investment pool, we're showing that we don't have anything. Down below here, we had reval, and we had now some of the room tax. So could we maybe separate out the local government investment pool? I think we have sub-accounts there.
We do have sub-accounts
to
there.
reflect what's in room tax, what's in reval, and
Absolutely.
And just move it around from the bottom.
Okay. I see what you're talking about. Okay. Motion to approve the financial reports?
I move to approve the financial reports.
Motion by Tony, second by
I second.
Jim, to approve the financial reports for the month of February, March 2018. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, did everyone have a chance to sign and look at the vouchers, bills, and claims for February 20th through April 17th?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We're good? In which case, I would need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve vouchers, bills, and claims February 20th, 2018 through April 17th, 2018.
I'll second that.
Wow, we're slow
I
tonight.
was getting worried there.
Motion by John, second by Tony, to approve vouchers, bills, and claims. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
I
Thank
have an
you.
excuse, I'm running out of here.
All right, Plan Commission meeting minutes. We have those, and I think that's from October 24th. If no one has any questions, we're going to put those on file. Hearing none. All right, taken care of. County Board report by District 14 Supervisor, who was recently reelected with just a paltry 75% of the vote. My God, you should be embarrassed. But it's okay. Did a good job.
It is my privilege and pleasure to continue as your District 14 County Board Supervisor. Thank you very much. So this morning at 9 o'clock, Door County Board of Supervisors met for its organizational meeting. We have 3 new members on County Board, and we just kind of have an orientation session and go over legal matters, public records, open meetings laws, things like that, what the different departments do. So it's always a nice recap and reminder of walking quorums and things like that that could filter down to the town board as well. So. And then we also, there was some reorganization of committees. So County Board Supervisors are assigned to various committees, and they also meet regularly. And County Board Supervisors were invited to a recent update on NWTC. So I'm going to put in a little plug for NWTC. I just thought the town pays them, their levy to the town of Sevastopol is like $1 million. And I think we underutilize NWTC. You heard Tim Detman, the fire chief, they're looking for firefighters. You can do that through courses at NWTC. If you're still in high school, you can gain credits that will transfer over to NWTC and eventually transfer to also a 4-year college. So I think it's kind of a secret in WTC. I think it should be promoted more. These technical courses, college is not for everybody, and this could put you on the fast track. So
We get our first responder licenses through NWTC.
And
So
whether you're a student or an adult, you can always learn something. And especially now that we have the northern campus up in Sister Bay, I think that's really going to take off too. So my little plug for NWTC.
Having taught classes up there, and they're going to have a nice facility because they used to use hotel rooms, so it was difficult. Okay, is that it, Linda?
Did you want more?
Don't ask
I was being polite, Linda. I was being polite, okay? Long day. Licenses and permits. You have all the permits and license stuff for new construction in our town. We have no chicken coops to report this month. We do have a few saunas, and we have some irregularly shaped 2-story homes. I guess those are pretty good. And you see all that stuff. If you have questions, let Mr. Timmy know or let us. Otherwise, you've got it for your reference. Correspondence is next. And this is a copy of a document that the Highway Department sent out to all the people that live on Glen Drive, which is really great, so they know what to expect. Amy already talked to the fact that we received some cash. the Bank of Sturgeon Bay. I guess they'll never update that, huh? Invasive species team, this is an announcement that there's some cost share funds awarded to municipalities that have passed noxious weed ordinance that includes one or more of the following, things that we all know and love, Phragmites. A note from, I should say, a note from us to the school district, just confirming the funds and what they're used for the park. The fire report, which is actually part of the report that he, oh no, this is January 2018, sorry. Telling the number of incidents, pretty much similar data though. And it sounds like these guys are repairing a lot of their equipment now, so I guess it's a good use of time. Rather than just have them stand there. Same thing with the next month where they talk about installing a new washer dryer, a stove, refrigerator, and microwave. So and they repaired a Mr. Buddy heater. So they've been very busy spending our $374 or $47,000. All right. Water report, good news, as I mentioned earlier, we continue to get clear, absolutely no contaminants in our well water. A notice from Charter to Linda Waite. I guess they haven't updated their records yet regarding their renaming. A notice to Chuck regarding Senate bill, which is the Senate bill on cable TV franchise fees that Laddie asked that we have sent off, which Chuck did for me. And we have a monthly report on the room tax, those businesses that are permitted at this time. And we have covered everything in the correspondence with the exception of some announcements, unless anybody has any questions. So, road inspection, we have determined that date in May. The Board of Supervisors meeting is May 21st at 7 p.m. Open book, Friday, June 1st at 10 a.m. Board of Supervisors meeting will be Monday, June 18th at 7 p.m. And the Board of Review is Monday, June 25th at 1 p.m. So, I have a list of things to bring back for next month. Does anybody else have any ads? Or you can...
If the snow ever melts,
Yes.
we need to fix where they redid the well.
Yeah.
And we also talked about sprucing up like the shrubs around the lampposts and things like that. Are we going to use somebody locally? I mean, do we... Should Amy have maybe somebody stop in and take a look when the snow is melted and say, can you give us a cost estimate for putting in some more shrubs, removing shrubs?
What is the...
Tidying up
Some
the...
stones
Yeah,
in the
tidying
front.
up the mulch beds, adding some stone to the front.
We could use our parks employees. Oh, we don't have them.
I mean, I can think of local people that are in that business.
Well, I think at this point in time, we need to do that because we're hurting for park employees. So that would be fine.
We don't have the resources to do it ourselves.
Now, the fellow that supplied McKay's Nursery right across the street, he was the one that gave... Roger, yeah, he was the one that took care of the plantings for us, and he's done some work here too.
We also have somebody just down the road here that does landscaping and maintenance.
Okay. We will put Miss Amy on the hunt. Anything else? I hate to say it, but I think we're to that point where we could adjourn.
Got an item for your agenda.
Pardon me?
A couple of items for your agenda, if you will.
Okay.
I believe as a past officer, the town should really come up with some way for each officer to have an individual town email account.
I have that.
I know you've been working on it.
Yeah.
But I do believe it's a big concern, and it's getting worse as time goes on. Something should really be done with it.
I have the stuff at home. I got it in the last week, and I have to refine what the additional costs are. But yes, that's on my plan for next month's meeting. So.
One other item, I don't know how you want to handle it, would be the town's landfill. You know what the situation is, paperwork we received tonight, we've got to move forward on the project.
Well, I don't think, I don't have it on the agenda right now, so I'll put it on next month's agenda. We know that we have to do it, and with the snow, I don't think you'll be doing anything between now and May 15th anyhow, do you?
I doubt it very much, but
So-
things have to be
Right.
put on a schedule, and we do have a deadline, which I've been told I can get it extended if we can't meet it.
Right, I have no issue in committing that, start the process. We just need to make sure that the board is aware of the expense, and we can do that at next month's meeting. And if you have some issues in between time, just let me know. We'll address. Pardon me?
I said if I get any further information, I'll pass it on.
Yep, that's fine. I'll just bring it back next month so that everybody knows about the expense, and then we'll go from there.
One question.
Okay.
Did we ever execute this contract with Bay Lake Regional Planning?
You did not, because you
Okay.
said you were going to have a plan commission meeting to fine tune it before we sent it back to him. So he had not yet.
Okay. We'll have to have
I
a
thought I
meeting.
signed something.
I thought we signed it.
I did too. I thought I signed it. I know I
We signed
signed.
the initial agreement,
Oh,
but not a contract
Okay.
stating.
The application,
Yes,
I think, the grant
absolutely.
application, but not the actual contract. So,
Okay. We'll have to have a meeting.
Well, I hate to end this evening's fun festivities. Well, we can stay. I have some extra
I'll
things.
make a
that I
motion
can-
to adjourn the meeting.
Yes, anybody, who made a motion to
I
adjourn?
made the motion.
John made a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Jim made a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you, Gab.
We are adjourned.